Let's see where they sent it. Yeah, they sent it to your other email, the David at Miller and Moulton. A guy who did a hour-long documentary on Bill Plummer chastised me for not knowing who Bill Plummer was and that I'm ignorant. It was ignorance rather than malice that I didn't remember his 323-game career and 54 years in baseball, 53 years in baseball. And what an a-hole I am, basically, for the Bill Plummer incident on our show, David.
Well, I will say, just based on the limited comments that we got, I was alone. Apparently, I had that guy behind me.
Yeah.
You had a lot.
Connor Fitzgerald, producer, director, Plum, A Baseball Life. I'll forward it to your other email, so when you got an hour, you can watch the documentary.
They managed to do an hour on Bill Plummer.
53-year career in the sport, David. I don't know how I could have missed that.
How does that find its way back to, like, I don't.
Because so I heard the comments on the show made while the passing of Bill Plummer, Johnny Bench's backup last week. It was mentioned that nobody remembers who Plummer was and that backing up Bench was the easiest job. I'll chalk this up to ignorance rather than malice. If you care to know who Bill Plummer was, here is a link to an hour-long documentary on Plummer's 53-year baseball career in professional baseball that I produced.
That's the crazy part, is the guy who produced it is the one who happened to hear the comment.
Does that guy live here?
He must, somewhere in Florida.
Yeah. Huh.
So yesterday I went over to hit balls, and a buddy of mine came up because my handicaps dropped, and he saw the index, and he's all fired up. And he played baseball at Michigan, and he had his buddy who he played baseball at Michigan with, another guy who played football at Michigan that lives on the club. So I'm playing with the three Michigan guys, but they all played with Ricky Leach. We went back to Bob's house, and they're telling Rick Leach stories. But here's the best one, David. This is almost good enough for air. Bo used to go watch baseball practice. Bo loved baseball. Bo did not like Ricky Leach playing baseball at Michigan, however. They're playing for the Big Ten championship. They've won both games on Friday. Saturday's the spring game. Bo makes Leach play in the spring game and miss the baseball game. After the spring game, they shuttle him over to the baseball game where he pinch hits, gets a base hit, helps him win the second game of the doubleheader to win the Big Ten championship. And then Bob, the other guy that played football, was a backup D end. I was a backup. I never made it past second string. His dad, and I don't know Bob's last name, his dad coached with Bud Grant, coached in the NFL for years and years and years. Actually might help us get Jerry Glanville on the show, who still wants to coach in Canada at 82, apparently. But he said he had to go every practice going up against Mike Ken. He goes, how am I supposed to get past Mike Ken?
Well, next time you see him, you can go, well, they were asking that on Sundays, too. So don't feel bad.
That's 17 years in the NFL.
He's in the Falcons Ring of Honor, isn't he?
But he's right. He's not in the hall.
No.
Walks right up to the door in Canton, I think.
Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. Hope your week got off to a good start, and thanks for being with us on this Tuesday. Hold on a second. How the heck are you? We are Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Yes, it's that kind of week. We're moving forward. Just like the madness gets underway tonight. You all have an assignment over the next 12 to 15 hours. You need to find where True TV is on your television, no matter how it is that you get TV, your phone, your computer, whether you've cut the cord, whether you're streaming 37 different places, whatever. True TV, no E on the true. You see what they did there? Very trendy, very happening. Just like my co-host Mark Miller. Hey, buddy.
Very trendy, very happening.
Yep.
Things that have not been said about me in 30 years, but that's
Not
all
even
right.
in-
I'll take it.
Not even in your household. I
No.
know. But how you doing?
I'm well. Had a great day yesterday. Walked into one of those fun days yesterday. I went, hit some golf balls, and a buddy of mine came and said, "You want to play the last couple holes with us?" I said, "Sure, I'll play the last couple holes with you." And it turned out they're all Michigan men. Two played baseball at Michigan. The other played football. So I was surrounded by maize and blue. But listening to them tell stories about the old days at Michigan, had just walked into one of those great days, ended up back at the one guy's house for a cocktail. It just a little outing to go hit golf balls for an hour turned into about a 2.5, 3 hour, really good afternoon.
I like it. That's awesome. We should all have that.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's great to hear. Hey, this show's already off to a great start. I mean, we've got David Samson, Pat Kirwan on the show today, so we're going to have a good show. We're going to have fun. I mean, the madness gets underway tonight. I mean, I think I have our poll question.
Look at that.
Yep. I know this is probably something we should talk about beforehand.
Well, it's, a little behind the scenes for everybody. I try to get the show set up so that at around 5:45, David and I are looking at one another.
Right.
That doesn't mean that at 5:45, we're looking at one another because David's doing things in the morning.
I'll get to it eventually.
And at 5:56, he decided to hit the buttons, and then there we are.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm over here beginning to perspire, freak out, about to start sending texts. Where the hell are you? And I am the one who wants to discuss before the show. I want to chat.
Right.
David has no desire to chat. None whatsoever.
We're going to do 4 hours together. We need to do 4 hours and 10 minutes. I
Yes.
don't understand it. All right. It's so funny you say that, though. So I'm out in the kitchen and 10 minutes before the show, and my wife is going, "What are you doing here?" All right.
Great question,
No,
wife.
she literally says, "Just go get connected with Mark." I said, "I'll do it. I'm pouring my cereal and what have you." She goes, "First off, it's rude to eat in front of them." And I go, "Well, I'll eat off to the side." And she said, when we were together in Fargo, I used to show up at your remotes because I had nowhere else to be. And your producer on site, I would get there before you. And your producer would just look at me and shake his head and go, "Moulton time. I hate it." And I would show up, sometimes 30 to 90 seconds before the show starts, sit down and let's go.
You could have never played for Coughlin. Never.
It's so funny you say that. So I broadcast about a dozen basketball games for Jacksonville University's men's team this year. Their coach, very nice guy. Okay, but he leaves early.
And do you know who they don't wait for? The broadcast.
Anybody. No. They don't wait for anybody.
I got you. But at the bottom of the totem pole of who they would wait for is the broadcaster. You're not really part of the team.
No.
You're just there for a ride.
No.
So you should be the first one on the bus, ready to go.
After a big win in the ASUN playoffs, all right, somebody who's actually fairly important lost their phone. And I went back into the gym to help them look for their phone. Oh, yeah, bus left. Gone.
Yep.
He was done with his stuff. He got on the bus. He looked. He counted all the players. Everybody else can find their way back. If the players are here, all right. I mean, that's who I got to take on the plane with me home. Everybody else, they know where we're going. I'll see you tomorrow. Right. Boom. Out of there. But yes, he's very much a 7 o'clock tip. He'd be like, "Okay, we're leaving the hotel at 5:30. You know what 5:30 meant? About 5:22.
Yep.
Right. Yep.
I've been there.
Yep. And he waits. He does. He waits. You could tell he wants to board the bus about 5 minutes earlier than he normally does. All right. Jordan Mincy is his name. Good young coach. You'll hear his name again. Trust me. But, oh, yeah. It doesn't make a big deal about it at all. Everybody just knows. When I was broadcasting the first couple games, I'm introducing myself to some players. They literally all said to me, "Hey, make sure you're on time." And by on time, about 10 minutes early. Oh, okay, thanks. Hey, good luck tonight. Yeah, just make sure you're on the bus. Got it. Okay. So me at 5:30 means 5:30.
5:32.
No, come on. I've been in radio and television forever. You can't be late. You cannot be late. I mean, the 6:01 that open plays. By 6:01:20, I got to be ready to go. The sports and local television aired. You could not be late. You could not be late. When they threw it to you, you had to be there.
How many times did you miss the open of, because you're not on, when you did local news, you weren't doing anything till 6:22, 6:25, whenever the hell they let you do sports.
Right.
Did you ever miss the 6:00 open because you were out doing an assignment where, they do the wide shot of the three and you're not there?
Oh, yeah, all the time. In fact, I would say, wait, so I have to stop what I'm doing just to sit on the set for 3 seconds? Okay, put a cardboard cutout of me. I go, narrow the shot down. I mean, just take a shot of the two anchors. I go, and for that matter, why is the weather guy out there? Okay, they're off in their weather lab. I go, so if they're not on the set, why do I have to be on the set? Besides, you've reduced me to 2 minutes. I'm not that important, so I have to be there for the open? Please. I just stopped showing up. And after a few weeks of that chair just sitting there, they removed the chair and they narrowed the shot. There you go. Got what I wanted.
How to Win Friends and Influence People by David Moulton.
The news director didn't like me anyway. Hated sports. All of them did. So I'm already not making. They already got a thing against me. So fine. All right. You want to take me on? I'll make your life miserable. We all know how this is going to end. You're going to fire me. So it's just a matter of how much joy I can get between now and that moment.
21,000 is the text line. Nowhere else to go but there. As we transition here in the morning from getting fired to players getting hired.
We'll get to that in a moment. Here's my nomination.
All right.
UConn, Purdue, Houston, or the Field. If you think that's one too many teams, take it out. Okay, I think UConn or the Field's obnoxious. They're not that good. They're excellent. They're the defending champs. But they're not, UNLV in 91. If you know what I mean.
No, I got you.
They're not Kentucky in 2015 or 2012. So I'm thinking UConn, Purdue, Houston, or the Field. Who would you take right now?
UConn, Purdue, Houston.
Oh, I knew you would. I mean, please.
I got the Field.
I mean, you taking a 2 seed to win it all is going out on a limb.
A big limb.
Right. I mean, you took a look at Jay Billis's bracket, which is 3 1s and a 2, and said, yeah, I don't know if I could live with that.
It's a little risky.
Right. Exactly.
It's a little risky, David.
For the record, this is not a joke. So Shannon Sharp does 2 days a week, I guess, on the 4-letter network. And so yesterday, he made his final 4 picks for both the men's and the women's. 4 1s for both. Now, listen, you, Mr. I only play favorites, and I only, basically fill out my brackets by picking the favorites every round. Right? Would you put that up there as your 2 slates, the 4 1s for both the men and the women?
Not a chance. And I don't just pick all chalk. I pick a few upsets in the first couple of rounds, but by the time we get to the Sweet 16, I go more chalky.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
No, I couldn't put up 8 1s in. I mean, on the women's side, throw an upset in there. Iowa's got UCLA and LSU on their side.
Right. Actually, Iowa's got a brutal draw.
I got you.
Yeah. So that's my nomination for what our question should be. Yesterday, we asked which 1 seed's going to lose first. Now we kind of, go the opposite way. We load up on, the consensus top 3 for basically the last 2 months, right?
Exactly.
I mean, some combination of those 3 schools have been number 1 in the country since early January. So, okay, here we go. Here's the big 3, or the other 65. Who you got?
I'm just feeling like a gymnast right now. I've got so much chalk on my hands, David.
I understand. Pommel horse, bars. What do you, for using the chalk for?
Just for the look, David. I'm not going anywhere near an apparatus.
So
I might hurt myself.
So you're the person that puts the black underneath their eyes to play indoors? Is
Yes,
that it? You're
exactly
chalking
right.
all up for the floor exercise? Is that what you're doing? Okay, good.
And it will just mainly be a tumble. It won't be much of an exercise.
Miller and Moulton tournament gets underway tonight. For some of you, it's not till noon on Thursday. I get it. Trust me. I'm right there with you. I really am. Don't even know if I paid much attention tonight. I mean, really, you want me to stay up to watch Virginia play? Virginia.
Of all the teams and all the brands of basketball they could have put
right
in the first 4, they chose Virginia.
Well, look at it a different way. Many people, myself included, have always liked to fall asleep with the television on. And if this is not a cure for insomnia, I don't know what is, because there is nothing that a rock fight of Virginia basketball can't make you go to sleep on a Tuesday night for.
Tell you what, if you see the start of the second half, all right, I applaud you. I mean, because that'll be like 10:15. You do an hour of Virginia basketball on a halftime show, and then you see whether or not you're still awake. Miller and Moulton, you still awake?
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Poll questions up.
Hot damn.
And tomorrow, we could also do the one David thought of yesterday. How many brackets you fill out? One, multiple, or none?
Done.
Phew.
Well, just because, Wednesdays is probably the most popular day. I don't know, actually. You think it's... You think it's Wednesday, or do you think it's Monday after Selection Sunday?
Monday. Wait a minute. Sirhan's still alive?
Mm-hmm.
It's his birthday. He's 80. Not that I'll mention that, but it just was a little.
So apparently, by like one vote, Houston won our poll question yesterday, even though Houston and North Carolina ended up with the same percentage. I don't know. Or they ended up tied, one or the other.
Yeah, if you look on the desktop version, it gives you decimals, but
Gotcha.
the phone just does they round up.
Hey, thanks for forwarding me the Bill Plummer stuff.
Well, I thought you might want to watch it.
Yeah, I got nothing going on today.
Okay, so this is the kind of stuff that I just think is hilarious. This is a March Madness bracket if you picked each matchup based on which school's home court is closest to a Wendy's. And it's Oregon. They got the whole thing filled out.
Is this sponsored by Wendy's?
I don't
gotta
know.
be.
It must be. But it's not like a official account. It's just a meme page.
So apparently Tom Crean, when he was at Indiana, they turned down an NIT bid.
No.
Apparently they turned it down, something along the lines of they didn't want to denigrate Assembly Hall by hosting an NIT game.
Tom.
Now,
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour. David Samson joins us at the top of the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. We are at Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. This didn't get a whole lot of press yesterday, But did you see what Dartmouth University did yesterday? They said, we're not going to negotiate with the basketball players union. We don't recognize it. They're not employees. Don't care what anybody has to say.
It's one way to do it.
Yeah. So if you want to know how this is going to play out, I think Dartmouth told you yesterday how this sucker is going to play out. First, they're going to go through the whole procedural thing about challenging the regional NLRB decision, which was the one that said, yeah, they're employees. They can unionize. So the first thing they're going to do is take on that fact. They're going to lose. And because I think the people they appeal to are, wait for it, the NLRB. So then we're going to federal court, man. I mean, it's just a matter of how quickly does this sucker get to D.C.? Well, you know, the big court.
Right. No. So
right, not the federal court in D.C.
We've got a gambling
court.
Right. We've got a gambling thing that we've been paying attention to whenever that may make its way
right
to the Supreme Court.
And guys, could you do it this spring, please? Please. Some of us are waiting on a decision.
That's number one. Now, this one, to me, for sure, ends up in front of the Supreme Court.
I got to be honest, if I'm the court, I'm like sending word out right now. Can you guys just bypass the NLRB and get this in the court system? Because we'll take it now. We'll just leapfrog everything. We'll just say, no, we'll deal with this. We'll deal with this right now. Funny thing is, I don't think the courts are going to be on Dartmouth's side.
I don't know.
It might be different being Ivy League and private, but I mean, so far, seemingly all the courts, and especially that big one, that high one.
Right. They've not had a problem with them earning money. Calling them employees is a totally different thing, though, David. It is completely different.
I know. So I'm telling you, based on what Justice Kavanaugh has said in the last year, I think he's like, listen, these cases bore me. Could you get that Dartmouth Union case before us? Can get me a clerk. Here, call this person. Just say we want it. Do what you got to do. That case interests us. Hell, we got Clarence Thomas asking questions of these cases. I mean, that's how interesting they are. Everybody's sitting forward in their chair for these cases. This is good stuff. Not this whole, whatever, First Amendment, blah, 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 blah. Let's talk college athletics. Let's talk whether or not they're employees or not and how much they can earn. Now, that interests us. This other stuff, whatever. So I just thought that was interesting. Dartmouth said Dartmouth pulled a Vince Lombardi yesterday.
And I don't know what other move Dartmouth could make. And I'm being serious here. Really, they're going to recognize them as employees. I mean, let's just stop and think for a minute. That the National Labor Relations Board said they're employees in Dartmouth. Oh, okay. Come on, guys, let's negotiate. What do you want for a wage?
They could have negotiated but never agreed to a deal. That, to me, would have been the interesting one. We head into summer and what have you. And because first off, how many of these 15 players are going to be back?
But by negotiating, they're recognizing them, David. They could never negotiate with them because then they're recognizing them as a union. So they never, ever, ever could negotiate with them based on them being together as a group, because then they recognize the union.
I hate it when you're right. And I mean, like, completely right. There's nothing I can say to that. Nothing.
Sorry. I know, and that's usually this back and forth thing kind of works in the talk show form.
Well, yeah, it's kind of, it makes for a better segment. It really does.
I didn't mean to just shut you down there, but
no, you pulled a Dartmouth on me is what you did. You didn't recognize my point of view at all.
No.
But, Dartmouth pulled a Vince Lombardi. Famous story, Jim Ringo back in the day, and he showed up with an agent. Lombardi, who was not just coach, but he was also general manager of the Packers, was like, I'm sorry, what's this? And, I'm here with my representation. We want to raise. And Lombardi said, oh, okay. Hey, listen, I wasn't ready for this meeting. Can you just give me 5 minutes? And they go out into the hallway and they sit down. And 4 minutes later, the front desk is buzzed and the secretary picks up the phone and goes, okay, I'll tell them. And she hangs up the phone, and the agent and Ringo get up and said, we can go in now. And she said, no, you're in the wrong place. You've been traded to the Eagles. And so, Dartmouth pulled a Lombardi yesterday. I don't know what you guys are doing. You don't play basketball for Dartmouth.
Well, and I think, it's going way more smaller scale. I believe in the building that we're in, David, because there are multiple radio stations here. Years and years ago, someone decided to have representation. It might have been a TV station, but I know there was someone locally that said, I'm getting an agent. And that didn't work out well for them either.
Oh, no. You and I both know a former weather guy who went big time with an agent. And they did not like that.
No. Funny how that works.
Yeah, I know.
You try to get hand and use it.
And they go, no, we have the hand.
Right. We'll cut off yours.
In fact, we may use both of ours right now. We're really upset. Right. So, yeah, Dartmouth went all Dartmouth yesterday. And by the way, Twitch chat room, okay, good for Dartmouth. Once again, on the side of the man. Not in their life, mind you, okay, but in the sports world. On the side of the man every time.
I will say in this one, though, we're not fans of unions anymore, by and large, in this country.
Well, and also when you and I say that a way to solve the modern issues that are at play in big-time college athletics, we say, we'll make them employees. We're in the minority. Our audience is totally against us when we say that.
They must want the revenue sharing model.
I don't know. I mean, now don't get me wrong. Nobody's come up with a solution, but they just go, I don't like your guys at all. No, that's a non-starter. Well, what else you got? No, I got nothing, but I got better than that. So I just thought, worth mentioning very quietly. By the way, the first day that the transfer portal's wide open. And technically, someone on a team that's in the NCAA tournament entered the portal yesterday. A kid for NC State. Now, apparently, he didn't make the trip to D.C. for the ACC tournament either. That him and the coaching staff had kind of agreed that he was going to go into the portal, so he didn't join them for their 5 wins in D.C. to make the tournament. But he was on the website yesterday morning, and he's in the transfer portal.
Picked the wrong time to leave that team.
I was going to say, everything's paid for and everything. Flights, meals. And they go private plane to and from the NCAA tournament, NCAA pays for it.
They got to do something with all that money they get.
Well, for the men. Okay, for the men. Women, not so much. But for the men, they go private plane.
Miller and Moulton, David Samson, Pat Kirwan on the show today. The starting 5. That is next. Miller_Moulton, MillerandMoulton.com.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
If you're in love and thinking about a diamond, you'll want to hear from my friends Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When purchasing a diamond, you deserve a relaxed, stress-free, and educational experience. You want to have a good time and feel comfortable. You want selection, quality, and value.
At the Diamond District, you'll get it all. With our team of non-commissioned diamond advisors, no one's in a rush. We care only about you and making sure your needs and wishes are fulfilled.
You'll be wowed by our selection of GIA certified diamonds, stunning diamond bracelets, earrings, pre-owned Rolex watches, exotic ruby, sapphire, emerald, and tanzanite jewelry. There's something for everyone at the Diamond District, and all at the lowest prices anywhere.
Jason and I love we look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
My grandmother would have been 100 today. Made it to 95 and a half. My mom thought she was going to get to 100. I never did. I thought it was going to be around 96, 97.
There's a picture that exists of me, my mother, my grandmother, my great-grandmother, and my great-great-grandmother.
Whoa!
Who made it to 97? My great-grandmother made it to her 90s, and my grandmother, she ended up with mesothelioma and didn't get to the 90s. So there's good genes on that side.
Did you get any of them?
I think I got a hole in the knee.
So you combine that with your dad's side. Where's that going to put you?
I don't know.
Low 80s?
Wouldn't that be something?
I always said, get me to 80 and I'll take my chances after that. That's awesome, Johnny Mac. That is awesome. So when's his birthday? Like November, December? Well, and Kilo's dad, our thought is that when they become employees that, that tuition is taxed.
It's either that or a rev share. Those are the only two options that are out there: employees or a revenue share. And the revenue share seems pretty difficult to pull off. If you want to keep on keeping on, a rev share is the way to go.
Do you give it to them as they're going along, or do
I think you have to? I think it has to be annually. I don't think it can be after the 4 years.
Right. I'm sorry, Racer. Did you say an employment contract? Doesn't that make them employees.
Well, you think they'll become employees if you look at his comment previous.
No, I understand. There are a lot of people out there who don't want to see that. Don't think they are. It's funny, Jay Gunn. Sad, but funny. Telling you, man, if you guys had voted for Miller and Moulton back in the day, we would have taken care of all of this. Teachers, police, firemen, schools, roads,
Radio talk show hosts,
college athletics. We would have, I don't know about healthcare. It's too corrupt. But
Here we go.
yeah, too much of it, Kilo.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the top of the hour, and that's when David Samson will join us. Pat Kirwan joins us at the top of the 8 o'clock hour, the third hour along the network. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Decent amount of meat on the bone yesterday. The wings smaller than usual, but they're plump. Time now for
The starting five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the starting 5 on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Well, number 1 is the madness gets underway tonight, baby. In some way, shape, or form. I mean, it's on True TV. Wagner Howard the first game. Howard a 3.5-point favorite. Colorado State, Virginia, the second game. Colorado State's a 2.5-point favorite. Mark, that's your wife's alma mater.
I know.
She going to stay up and watch?
Not a chance.
True TV. Once again, you've got about 12 hours to find True TV. You'll need it for this week. And then that's it. The NIT gets underway tonight. Little I-4 tussle might interest a few people. UCF hosting South Florida, and the Knights are a 5.5-point favorite. 9 o'clock. You got to go to ESPN Plus, but little South Florida UCF in basketball. I like it.
I do too.
Good. Transfer portal opened yesterday on both sides. There's about 250 D1 women's basketball players that entered the portal, and a couple hundred of men as well. Hey, I don't know. The timing just seems off to me. Couldn't push this back 2 weeks. Couldn't even push it back a week. Where only 16 programs have to deal with it. You push it back 2 weeks, there's only 4 programs affected. If you know what I mean. Everybody else is done playing on both sides. Sure we couldn't push this back 2 weeks? This seems a little quick, doesn't it? Dartmouth says it will not enter into collective bargaining with the men's basketball team's union that they joined. They want it reviewed once again, the regional NLRB decision. They want it reviewed nationally again. And then, in all likelihood, they're headed to federal court. So what do you say? Spring of 2027? 26? 27? When do we think this ends up?
Your timeline seems pretty accurate.
Okay. And Keith Dembrot is the head coach of Duquesne. He just took him to the tournament. First time since 1977. Yeah, the 65-year-old's going to retire. He's been coaching a long time, 3 different colleges. He was also LeBron's high school coach. He's retiring. He said, I worry about too much. Don't know if I can keep my energy up. So he's going out, taking Duquesne to the NCAA tournament. Good for him. Baseball. Hey, Blake Snell found a team. The Giants. 2 for 62, which could be 1 for 31 because he has an opt-out after this year.
And I hope he opts out, and I hope the market is not there for him. This is great what they're doing to Boris right now. This is fantastic. They're freezing out Scott Boris.
Well, they are to some effect. Also, I think he picked the wrong group of clients to negotiate with the way he's always negotiated. I'm just saying that every one of his clients had flaws. Like Blake Snell had 2 Cy Young years and then 6 average ones. You know, Jordan Montgomery, he's been good. Yeah, he's been okay. And you're wanting, I'm sorry, what? 6-7 years at 25 plus? For a number 3 starter? I don't think so. You know, Cody Bellinger, he's been MVP and he's been $1.82 also. What do you want again? So I just think also, and Mark, this is where the regional cable issues that we've talked about, there are teams that are like, we're going to lose money this year. Don't think we can cover our expenses this year. I know you guys don't believe us, but when you lose 40, 50, 60 million in TV revenue, that really does affect your bottom line. Just saying. Twins closer Duran is going to start the year on the IL with an oblique strain. Those things have a tendency of lingering. And Mark, apparently the MLB players are not happy with the number 2 guy at the MLBPA. He is their chief negotiator, Bruce Meyer. Apparently they had a 3-hour Zoom call yesterday, and the players want him fired. Tony Clark's not willing to go there yet. Players want the guy who negotiated for the minor leaguers 2 years ago. So just a little behind the scenes, in a couple of years, the players and the owners are going to have to start negotiating again. Looks as if the players are tired of, losing in the negotiations, I think.
Oh, good, guys. Put in a cap and you can get whatever you want.
Well, of course, that's a non-starter, Mark. But I do think that things will be – I'll make you a prediction right now. We won't know for 3-4 years whether it comes true. We will miss games over the next negotiation. We will.
Oh,
we will
boy.
miss games. I do. The players have lost 3 negotiations in a row. They got to draw a line in the sand. Unless the market changes in the next 2 to 3 years. All right. The players are not liking the way free agency is going. $1 billion less were spent on free agents this offseason than last, and that includes Ohtani and Yamamoto. So the players are not happy. NFL, Chase Young. Did you see the deal he got from the Saints? So here's a guy that the Commanders couldn't wait to get rid of. Niners acquired him for a 3rd-round pick. They had him for half a season. At the end of that half a season, they said, yeah, we need defensive linemen, but not him. No, we're done with you. They signed a 31-year-old to a 3-year deal before they'd signed Chase Young for what he was looking for. Chase Young got $13 million fully guaranteed from the Saints yesterday for 1 year. Wow. 7.5 sacks. $13 million.
It's $2 million a sack.
Yeah.
I can do that math. I mean, that's an easy one there for me.
So the good news for the 49ers is they signed Josh Dobbs. I guess he's going to back up Brock Purdy. 1 year, $2.25 million. He could earn a little bit more in incentives. Bad news for the Niners. This almost sounds like a joke. So apparently they need new accountants. The league determined, not this past year, but the year before, that basically they did their math wrong. Now, they never violated the cap. And the league said, we don't think you guys did it on purpose, but you may need to get new accountants. Because this math that you guys did throughout the year, it was wrong. I mean, you never went over the cap, because then we'd really have to punish you. But so what they did to the Niners in this year's draft, I guess wherever their 4th-round pick was, they moved it all the way to the end of the 4th round. So after all the compensatory picks. They lost like 15 spots in the 4th round of the draft this year. But next year they lose a 5th rounder. They just took it away from them. So Got to get some new accountants. Raiders signed former Vikings running back Alexander Madison. He's 25. He'll be their backup running back. Cowboys linebacker Leighton Vander Esch retired at the age of 28. He said, his body just won't cooperate. He suffered a neck injury last year, can't come back from it. And this is a hell of a signing for the Lions. They signed free agent guard Kevin Zeitler, or they're going to make it official this morning in a presser later today. He's 34 years old. It's a one-year deal. He'll replace that Jonah Jackson guy who went to the Rams. And Zeitler's good, and Zeitler's durable.
Well, that's the big thing. He doesn't miss games, David.
No, he doesn't miss snaps. In fact, no offensive lineman's played more snaps since he's been in the league since 2012. So there. One other football note. So Alabama to re-up the contracts of their AD. Nobody cares about that. And they finalized Kalen DeBoer's contract. Did you hear the specifics, by the way? Kalen DeBoer replacing Nick Saban. 8-year deal, first off. 8. Not 5 or 6. 8. Starts at $10 million a year. He gets a $250,000 raise every year. So his last year of his deal, he'll make $11.75 million. Yeah. So his average salary comes out to be like 10.8 and change. That makes him the 4th highest paid coach in college football. Care to guess the top 3? Anybody?
I'm thinking.
Okay, let me help you out. Dabo's 1.
All the guys I'm thinking of aren't coaching anymore. That's why I'm having trouble with this.
Kirby's 2. Lincoln Riley's 3. Kalen DeBoer is the 4th highest paid coach in college football. Sarkisian is 5, and Mike Norvell is 6th, for the record.
So 8 years for DeBoer. If I set the over-under at 5.5 that he's there, what would you go?
Man, that is the perfect number, too. That is the perfect number. Under.
Yeah, me too.
Under by a half. I'm counting on 5. That's what I'm counting on. NBA, there were 8 games last night. Heat lost to the Sixers 98-91. Heat are the 8th seed right now, and the Sixers with the win move up to 6 because Indiana lost at home to Cleveland, and they fell back to 7. Man, the Knicks have been really good on the road here. They're sweeping this whole West Coast road trip. We'll see if they can win in Denver with all the injuries that the Knicks have, but they beat Golden State last night, 119-112. No Randall, no Mitch Robinson, no OG. They still won. I said bet against the Celtics last night. Take the Pistons in the 16.5.
That was a bad idea.
That was really a dumb suggestion. Boston won by 25. They're 31-3 at home. And the Lakers, looks like they're going to host the Warriors in that 9-10 play-in game. They're the 9 right now. And they beat Atlanta by 31. NHL, 2 games. A little bit of history in the one. Ovechkin with a couple of power play goals in the second period. Caps beat the Flames 5-2. Now, first off, it moves Washington into the second wild card spot, a point ahead of the Wings, and Washington still has a game in hand on Detroit. But for Ovechkin, Mark, that's goals 19 and 20. That's the 19th consecutive season that Ovechkin has scored 20 or more goals. There's only 2 other players in NHL history that have done that. 19 or more consecutive years of 20 or more goals.
And you all know one answer is Gordie Howe. Getting to
Right.
the other is a little more difficult.
Getting to the other is a hell of a bar bet because it's not Messier and it's not Gretzky. It's not Lemieux. It's not Yager. Okay. It's not Marcel Dion.
I would have lost because I'd have gone Yager. That was
Brendan Shanahan.
right.
Is the second NHLer with 19 consecutive years of 20 or more goals. Buffalo beat Seattle 6-2. Sabres 4 points behind the Caps, trying with a late dash to make the playoffs for the first time in quite a while. And golf, they had that meeting yesterday in the Bahamas. PGA Tour, the players, directors, and the head of the PIF, Yasir Al-Rumanian. I mean, do you nickname him if you're Tiger? Do you go, hey, why? Yaz? Do you call him Yaz? Okay. Do you call him Piff? Hey, Piff. Can you nickname him if you're Tiger Woods.
Not without fear of retribution, David. I don't know if you're aware of how they operate when they don't like things.
It's only if you're a
by his
journalist.
name.
It's only if you're a journalist or if you're gay. Okay. And Tiger is neither that we know of. The player directors, by the way, there's 6 of them on the PGA Tour. Tiger, Adam Scott, Patrick Cantlay, Webb Simpson, Jordan Spieth, and Pete Malnati. Malnati's the guy who said, yeah, I'll do it. I'll represent the guys that you don't care about. That's me. So Malnati was the one who was speaking at length at the Players' Championship. So there you have it. 8 minutes before the hour. That was
the Starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
You know, that could be a poll question later in the week. Okay. If you were a member of the PGA Tour, what would your nickname for Yasir Al-Rumayyan be?
I am loosely categorized as a media member, so I'm not going anywhere near a question like that.
So your answer would be Mr. Rumayyan.
Yes, as a matter of fact, it would be.
That would be your nickname for him. I'm not big into nicknames. You know, you who spent all that time in the hockey world, I mean, to half the people you've known in your life, you're Millsy, for goodness sakes. Okay, and you're not going to get. I got.
He
and
can
I'm not
call me whatever he
guy.
wants. I'm going to call him Sir
Piff. That's what I'm going to call him. Hey, Piff.
They scare me.
Well, and with good reason. But in this case, in theory, if you're the PGA Tour, you got the upper hand, right? I mean, until you do a deal, you've got hand, right?
Sure.
By the way, the recommendation on our Twitch chat room is Sir Piff.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Hi, I'm Jason.
And I'm Todd with the Diamond District. I believe in complete transparency. If you're shopping for diamonds in Naples, you're paying too much. If you're shopping in the Cape or Fort Myers, you also won't see the selection you deserve to have. If you're online, there's no human connection, and you won't know if your diamond is beautiful or not until it shows up in the mail.
Just because it's GIA certified doesn't mean it's brilliant. There's so much more to a diamond than its cut, color, and clarity that makes it beautiful. On commission and educational presentation from the internet. The Diamond District has the rarest diamonds from 1/2 carat to 10 carats. You won't find a bigger selection or better value.
And you won't find a better buying experience. Jason and I are in the store nearly every day, and we look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Morning, David.
Good morning. Can you guys hear me okay?
Perfectly.
Sure can.
Great.
You a bracket guy?
I'll fill one out just for fun. And 1 year, Yale or Wisconsin will win.
So in other words, in 2015, you were really close.
I have no recollection.
Well, that was the year Wisconsin played for the title.
Did they? I certainly have them in the title game every year, if not winning. So that year was a good year then. I wonder whether I did it when I was in baseball. I don't recall.
Were you allowed to, or was it technically against the rules?
I don't know that I would have done an actual online bracket as president of the team. We may have done something in the, bless you, we may have done something in the clubhouse. Maybe a clubhouse one.
Right. Like one of those behind the bar brackets where all of a sudden the bartender turns around, grabs some paperwork, turns around, puts it in front of you.
That's pretty much it. Except it'd be the chef, the clubby, the guy with the jockstrap in one hand and dollar bills in the other, and phone numbers in his third hand.
Isn't that the assistant trainer?
It's the assistant traveling secretary.
There you go. So apparently, legend has it when the Rangers won the Cup 30 years ago and they were going to be very active on deadline day, like the traveling secretary and some of the season ticket holders had gotten tight over the years. And so some of the season ticket holders would call the traveling secretary and be like, what's going on? Are we trading a Monte? And she goes, I think so. You know, and so they're, and then they're, you know, and this is before the internet and what have you.
Awesome.
So those buddies are all calling each other, going, I think we're trading a Monty. Who are we going to get?
It's not that I long for the pre-internet days because my job's easier with it, but it was easier, no doubt about it.
Life was easier. There's no doubt. I spent a lot of years broadcasting minor league hockey, still friends with a few of the guys. We laugh all the time. It's like, there's no way we'd have survived. No way we'd have survived.
With everyone holding a camera?
Yes.
No chance. My early years in baseball, my God, in Montreal. Oy.
Enough said.
Enough said.
I mean, just at the ballet alone, my goodness. Could you imagine? Could you imagine what is in ball 4 if those Yankees teams behaved that way today? It'd be legendary. And they're already legends.
They'd be canceled. The whole league would be canceled.
Be great. The cell phone video of Mickey and Billy and Whitey drunk on the rooftops.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And at this day and time, pleasure to be joined once again by David Samson. He of the Nothing Personal with David Samson podcast, which he records 58 and a half minutes from now, live. Catch it live. Well, that means you have to break away from our show. Catch it on tape Okay, you know where to find it at all the usual places. You can follow him on X at David the letter P Samson, David P Samson. Top of the morning to you. How are you?
I am outstanding. It is a big week for Nothing Personal.
Anniversary, something new happening. Talk to me. What's the big
New
week for
sport
Nothing
coat?
Personal?
I mean, what?
So no, this is just the sport coat on the left of the closet today. So no, not a different sport coat. Not announcing it yet, but your audience, who I love and so loyal to, look for an announcement today at some point. Am I breaking it here? It's not big news, but you know what, guys? Because of your show, I've been emboldened to take Nothing Personal on the road. I'm doing a tour, going to cities, doing live Nothing Personal shows, and I have no stop in South Florida or the West Coast of Florida yet. Not yet, but second leg of the tour will be to you guys. But you're going to be seeing me now on Tuesday mornings. I may be in different cities at different times. It's going to be interesting.
Well, what are we doing it from Waffle Houses? I mean, it's 8 a.m., you know. To get a crowd at 8 a.m. is a tough get.
No, this is interesting. It'll be at 7:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. It's a show. It's an hour-and-a-half show where I'll be doing an episode within it. I'll still be doing the 8 a.m. live show on YouTube, Nothing Personal with David Samson. But this is taking Nothing Personal live to audiences, showing them how I do a show, actually doing a show during the hour and a half. It's like an hour-and-a-half performance. I've been practicing. I've been going over costumes. I've been going over rundowns. I've been going over with my road manager. It's a whole Megillah.
He's going off Broadway, Mark.
Exactly. And I like the fact that we might be on the second leg so we can get the second t-shirt that has the second list of dates on it, not the original first list of dates.
It's so funny because one of the bigger conversations, well, it was a quick one, but a big one is, do you leave room on the shirt for when additional cities are added? Or do you just do a whole nother shirt? What's the story with that? And I was told you pick a day and a venue and you stop the shirt. And then if it gets picked up because the show works, then you add to the existing cities to make it look even more robust.
But the best part of those shirts was that the second list of dates, the font never matched the first. That was the best part of those shirts.
I love where your head's at, which is why when we make the shirts, I am very clear with the producers that there's got to be font continuity because that drives me crazy.
No, you want the distinction. You want no. See where we were? We were the second leg right here.
No, I never want that. It's funny because the OCD in me, that's what I thought of. I'm getting what you're saying to show, hey, the first leg worked. Let's do a second leg. But no, I'm a continuity guy because a year from now, no one will remember what was first leg or second leg.
There's no doubt. Good for you. Going on the road, David Samson will obviously have more of the tour of Nothing Personal that is about to begin. All right, Snell signs with the Giants. Is baseball beating up on Boris, or is it the wrong clients? You know, how is this a win for baseball? As I see you doing the happy dance over there, is this a win for Major League Baseball general managers?
Well, you're seeing fallout, and this is going to be the first big chunk of the show today. First, you see Boris guys not signed. Then you see the first two Boris guys get 2 years plus with an opt-out. And now you're seeing Snell get 1 year plus with an opt-out. And then overnight, you get a story from Evan Drellick and Ken Rosenthal that there is discontent in the union with one of the lead negotiators. And this has been bubbling ever since the negotiation of the last CBA. This sort of mutiny, while it's being reported today, has been in the works for a really, really long time. And you're going to read a lot about Boris denying that he was involved in the last CBA, about the MLBPA denying that Boris was involved, and it's all horse hockey. Boris was completely involved behind the scenes with his players who were on the executive council, as evidenced when the lockout ended at the end of, when was it, last year, at the start of at the beginning of last season. The Boris clients on the executive council all voted to not ratify the CBA. Every other player representative voted to ratify, and therefore it passed, and it went, we had a season. But Boris and his players were unhappy, and it created a major issue with the union. And we are now seeing the fallout from that. Make no mistake, the other agents are thrilled that Boris's clients did not sign and did not get what Boris promised him. And now we have to look to Pete Alonso, who is a huge free agent, who switched agents to Boris just recently to try to take advantage of his free agency. I can't wait to see what he promised Alonso and whether or not Alonso will actually get that.
Do you think there's collusion at work here, or do you think that there's a few market forces? A, this was an imperfect list of clients. They all had greatness and they all had really down moments, except for Montgomery, who's basically a number 3 starter with a bad Yankees tenure. Or is it also the cable money and that there's 6-8 franchises out there that, quite frankly, are missing $50 million this year, and that's why they're not involved? Is this collusion, or is this forces at work?
You know, you're using the C word and throwing it around like it's, oatmeal. No, do not use that word. It's not collusion. This is Scott Boras. And I'm not being a hack for management. Collusion is when you get instructions that you have to limit an offer or act a certain way as it relates to a thing within collective bargaining, in this case, a signing of a player or what that player is worth. This is finally when Boras overplayed his hand and gave a value to his players, convinced his players that was their value, and then could not get an owner to give. In previous years, there was always an owner who would bail out Boras and make him look smart, make him look like a genius. But he can't appeal to the owners the way he used to because they're onto him. And they look at the way that players are injured. They look at the fact that long-term deals don't work 90% of the time, if not more. They look at their local revenue broadcast streams and realize the world is changing. We can't guarantee anything other than the Dodgers. Really, the Dodgers are the only team who have a locked-in deal for $300 million a year that can't go anywhere because that money is guaranteed by an entity that is not an RSN. So you've got all of these teams wondering what the future is for my revenue. So I would tell you that this is market forces at work that Boras was late to the table to understand.
When you said that the other agents are happy, is it just because they want to get clients or they don't like the way Boras does business? Why would the other, just simple me over here goes, oh, okay.
They can't stand the way he does business. They can't stand the way he poaches. They can't stand the way he tries to exert his influence. They can't stand the press conferences he does at the winter meetings, at the GM meetings, him thinking that he is the sport. They couldn't stand him the way he acted during the lockout, the way he pretended he wasn't involved in anything. But it was so clear that the Scherzers of the world who were on the executive council were simply mouthpieces for Boras. And remember, Boras has always been the same, and I've been saying it for 10 years. Boras cares about the top of the market. He doesn't care about the middle class. He doesn't care about the bottom of the market. And the majority of players are in that middle class or bottom of the market. And they're coming to realize that when a union does a deal that only wants to take care of the few, eventually the many are going to get angry.
When you look at what just went on in the NFL with Justin Fields and Kenny Pickett, is that something you can relate to? Is there a baseball correlation there? Never mind the whole Pickett Steelers behind the scenes thing, which apparently got very ugly very quickly, and both sides are staying quiet. But, that's a divorce in which I hate you. I don't want to see you anymore. I'd never want to see you again.
It turns out they loved each other until Wilson came. And then all of a sudden he claims he found out about Wilson on social media. And I figured the Steelers were doing a Wilson Pickett tandem. Well, that's funny.
Wilson,
I had
right here in the midnight hour.
That's funny. That just clicked in my crazy brain here at 7:10 a.m. But what happened is Pickett said, you know what? I do not want to be a backup. So trade me. And they immediately traded him. What shocked me about the whole thing was really the Bears' decision, because what they got in return for Fields, that really sets the market. He didn't want to be a backup. Now he's a backup for sure to Jalen Hurts. I think that's the best you could say. He gets a little extra money if he plays 51%. And
he's a backup to Russ, but I know what you're saying, right?
To Russ, excuse me, of course, on the Steelers. And what was crazy about it, thank you, is that Tomlin said to Wilson, hey, you're starting. So I talked about this on yesterday's show. If you already know that you're going to start Russell Wilson in Pittsburgh and then you acquire Fields, I thought they were acquiring him to have an actual competition and maybe even to start Fields. But they're promising Wilson something. What did they say to Fields? You're coming in to be a backup, to learn from Wilson? What? I don't know what that exactly means if you're an established starting quarterback the way Fields was. And plus, the Bears did not exactly get a haul for him by any stretch. I think it was like a 6th rounder that can convert to a 4th if he has 51% of the snaps in Pittsburgh. So all of it surprised me. And the equivalent in baseball is when you are forced by ownership to make a trade. And that has happened to me many times. Get rid of this player and you don't maximize the value because the market knows that you have no other choice. I thought the Bears could have kept him and traded the first pick and gotten a huge haul, but it seems like they were forced to make this deal.
Well, Caleb Williams is described as generational, and I don't think have you ever been in a spot where you were supposed to draft a generational guy and didn't? I mean,
No.
That's because it's if he turns out to be great, your career as a GM's done.
Every year there's a generational player. Every year your scouts come to you and say, I've never seen anything like this. The tools of this player, my God, is he tooled up? And then they end up stinking.
Well, and we have less than a minute. So that scene in Moneyball when Billy Bean's saying to the chief scout, you say you know, you say you know, you say you know, but you don't know. Okay, did you like jump up and down and go, yes?
No. That only if do you think I look like Brad Pitt? Because then I did.
No. But you don't look like Wilson Pickett either.
Thank God. No, not that Wilson Pickett's a bad looking guy. I'm just saying that I'd like to be closer to Brad Pitt, but I'm closer to Billy Bean, I would say. No, the way it works inside the room is you have great discussions and you figure out who you're going to draft. But in baseball, you know very well that it's a 50-50 proposition. Draft rooms in football, way more stressful because they have to help you that year.
He's David Samson. Nothing Personal with David Samson is live weekdays at 8 a.m. Apparently, he's about to do a world tour. There'll be T-shirts available at davidpsampson.com.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
20 years ago, Jason and I had the idea for a jewelry store like no other, with a vast selection of certified diamonds priced 8 to 12% over cost. A team of individuals who are educated, driven, and believe in cultivating relationships.
Today, we have become one of the largest independent jewelry stores in the country. Todd and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day, along with our GIA gemologists, master jewelers, custom designers, and non-commissioned diamond consultants, all of which we consider family.
As direct diamond importers, we travel the world, forging relationships and sourcing diamonds. What we love most about our business is that we can call Southwest Florida our home.
If selection, value, and comfort are important to you, give the Diamond District an opportunity. You won't find a better diamond buying experience. Todd and I look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Man, oh man, the looking for good, bad, and ugly stories. Some 15-year-old girl, and it's not a story that I would put in the thing, but some 15-year-old girl got shot and killed in Cape Coral leaving the movie theater.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Car pulled up to rob 3 girls and shot one of them in the chest and killed her. She's 15 years old. In Cape Coral. On Del Prado. Between the movie theater and the McDonald's, for Christ's sake. I mean,
I got it.
That's a pretty...
Yes. Mm-hmm. Right.
Not an area where you think something like that would happen. As much as I bash Cape Coral on this show.
It's been a while since we helped someone throw together an event, but every time we have, the events have been very successful. I just reached out to David and said, hey, if you're thinking about doing something in Southwest Florida, let us know. We've done a few and they've all really worked. It's been a while. I haven't done one in like 10 years. Probably got to go back to Cowherd.
Yeah.
I'd drive down, stay over. Trent, get ready. I'm going to pepper you with questions here.
A lot of pressure coming from the Twitch chat room today on your play of the day. I don't know where you're going.
Oh, I think I know what they want. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Well, you say so.
Sometimes it's hard for me to get a read, but today I think I got it.
All right. Shimko, are you talking football? Because that guy was Lee Steinberg. Right. Now, yeah, Lee had a problem with the bottle and had about a lost decade there. Hit rock bottom, but climbed his way back up.
So, FGC, you're going to lose a coach?
To Kentucky?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I'd be surprised if he took it, to be honest. I know why he's on their short list because
he beats them every year.
He beats them. Their place, his place, but you can't win it. He's always told me he would go somewhere that was a consistent second week of the tournament at minimum, have a real shot to go to the Final Fours and play for a title. Like, he turned down the Mississippi State job.
Right, I know that.
Right. But Kentucky would surprise me.
Okay. I'm surprised you can't win there.
Well, I don't know if he thinks he can win at the level that he wants. Like, he was wrong about USC. I mean, now, I don't blame him for turning down USC when he did. They lowballed him. He would not have been able – I mean, seriously, they weren't offering him enough money, never mind his staff. Okay, so he said no, and they ended up actually finally hiring a coach that didn't work out and then spent money on their current coach, who's a former player. But they've won the last 2 years as a 12 seed, though, in the tournament. There's no school that's won more games as a 12 seed in the tournament than FGCU. They've won 3 games as a 12, all in the last 6 years.
Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Pat Kirwan to join us in 40 minutes time. Trent Bally in the play of the day coming up in a handful of moments, but we will begin our inquisition of young Trent here in a moment. First, I have to remind everyone we're Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X, and our poll question is, okay, you can have UConn, Purdue, and Houston, or you can have the field. Who are you taking? And Mark, have you seen the early results?
I have not.
They're shocking. 84% are taking the field. Don't you know who wins these things?
Thank you.
So that's our poll question. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, and Miller_Moulton, and go vote accordingly.
I must say, I hope that the voters are right. It will make for a better tournament if one of the big three don't win it, but I'll take the big three.
Trent, first off, what's your answer to the poll question?
I got the field.
Okay.
I have the field. I like Iowa State a lot.
Iowa State cannot score enough in 5 consecutive games to win a natty.
I think for me, it's more of this is one of those events where I will always pick the field in that type of question.
Did you fill your bracket out yet?
No.
Okay. When you fill your bracket out
Tomorrow.
Right, and you tell me that you've got UConn on it,
then I can backtrack. Yes, then you can say
Right.
I told you so. That's a good point. I mean, until you actually do it, I might.
Now, listen, you like Iowa State a lot. That's a region final, UConn, Iowa State. Just so you know, you're going to have to at some point. There you go. Now, that's if UConn can get by Auburn in the Sweet 16.
Right.
The Iowa women and the UConn men both got draws that are like, somebody don't like us here? What the heck? By the way, Trent, you've been very quiet to how you've been the first 4 segments of our show in recent weeks. Is it because, what'd you do last night? You had no college basketball. What did you do?
Crunch the numbers, clean my apartment a little bit.
Wait, hold on. What
Crunch
numbers?
the numbers.
A, you don't make any money.
What numbers were you crunching?
You don't make any money, and you don't bet enough to win enough to have any numbers to crunch. So what numbers were we crunching?
I meant like basketball related stuff.
Ken Palm, net, trying to figure out if
Pace
the
of play.
right Ken Palm defensive metric to pick out the teams. I did see something yesterday that there's something about being in the Ken Palm top 40 and top 22 in defensive metrics has produced every champion this century.
I have found probably 6 of those transitive properties that I've just been going through and trying to decide who I'm going to pick for the win here.
I'm sorry, what was that? What properties?
Transitive.
I think that's
properties.
the word, right? Where 2 things, it's like a Venn diagram. You got to find the team that's in the middle of the 2
Is this high school
categories.
science or is this college basketball? What are we talking about here?
It might as well be a science.
Is this a science project that I fear is going to blow up in Mr. May's class, or what are we doing? And also in listening to this, Mark, I sense that, like we have Ken Palm and Sagarin. In future years, are we going to have the Bally metrics?
It's possible.
Okay. Well, according to the Bally metrics, so-and-so is 8th in this and 11th in that.
Yeah, I don't know if I could do that. Too much pressure. I'd feel bad if I was doing the holier than thou thing and telling people, giving them information. Look, I'm just doing my thing over here. I don't know.
All right, you had 12 pages of notes yesterday. How many pages of notes do you have today?
We're up to 17, and I think I think that's about where we're going to stay. Is 17.
17 pages of notes.
Can you give me, out of those 17 pages, a lot of pressure because you weren't prepped for this, because we like to produce things on the fly here. That's you're learning. That's how we roll here.
Sure.
Nothing is pre-produced. Give me a nugget or 2 out of those 17 pages that you find that you keep going back to. Is there anything out of the 17 pages that, as you flip to page 15, you got to go back?
In the Bally metrics, page 9 of the Bally metrics. What do you got?
Here's one that I actually found very interesting. So in the East region, BYU and Illinois, okay, that's the 6 and the 3 in that region. So potentially meeting in the next round. They are separated in the net by 1. BYU's a 6 seed, but they're 13th in the net. So typically, that's very high. I don't know. That might be the highest ever for a 6 seed in the net, is all I'm saying. So that's just something to watch. Illinois with Brad Underwood and the trends in March. If you like BYU, if you like I almost just made a really whatever. If you like that sort of thing, maybe pick an upset 6 over a 3 in round 2. Just something to keep your eye on.
Single spaced or double spaced?
Double. Yeah. I'm not that crazy.
Okay. And
17 pages of notes. I'm not that crazy.
Hold on. Is right. Exactly. And is
yes,
front,
there's
hold
headers.
Hold on. Is front and back one page?
No. It's
Okay.
it's a Google Doc, so it's just.
This is a type document, David. This is not to.
Well, remember, he wrote out the brackets by hand. Yeah. Until that yesterday, that was a moronic question for me, but he is handwritten brackets. So I thought that was very fair.
I think that's
objection
a fair question.
sustained. You're fine.
But yeah, no, if I would have written all this stuff down by hand, it would have been carpal tunnel city. So we avoided that route.
All right. Crunching the numbers. That'll be with me all day. What are you doing? Oh, I'm crunching the numbers. It's like our producer. Wife's
I'm going to get 2 bowls of food.
Right.
And my cat. And I'm going to have my cat take on Trent in a bracket.
I thought you were going to maybe have your 9-year-old.
She wouldn't. There's no way I could get her to fill out a bracket.
Really?
That's not true. If I told her there was a chance she could win money filling out the bracket.
If you incentivized her.
Because now everything in our household is about how much my daughter can make for doing something. She has figured out cash.
So in other words, she's a college athlete.
She's starting her NIL early. Name, image, and likeness. How about vacuuming the house? As long as you pay me for it.
She and her friend on the sleepover, they went in the room, they crunched the numbers. They came out, and they're wheeling and dealing.
Yep.
Crunch the numbers, baby. It's March.
All right. Time now for the, Molly Maid play of the day?
There you go. Molly Maid play of the day. Brought to you by the good folks at Molly Maid. What do you have for us today, Trent?
So the Minnesota Timberwolves are breathing down the Thunder's necks for the top seed in the West. They're only a half game back. And a lot of that has to do with 2 main things, defense and Anthony Edwards. And last night they traveled to Salt Lake City to take on the Jazz. And in the third quarter, we got defense and Anthony Edwards.
Another turnover for Utah. Edwards gets it back and threw it down and one from the Raptors.
It was a great call, but you got to go see it if you can. You got to look it up. Anthony Edwards baptizes John Collins way over the top and one, finishes it off. He said it was the best dunk of his life, and he's had a lot of them. So he finishes with 32 points. T-Wolves beat the Jazz by 10 for their 47th win of the season. I'm just excited to see how these guys stack up in the West in the playoffs here in a month.
Well,
there's probably big play today.
ESPN and TNT are thrilled to have Oklahoma City and Minnesota atop the West. There's no question about it.
Right, with the Lakers in a play-in game.
Exactly. Warriors, Lakers, out right away, and get KD and the Suns and Luka and the Mavs. Let's push them to the side as soon as we can. Okay, let's just make sure we get what's it?
SGA, Shai
SGA, and Anthony Edwards. I mean, you market that. Crunch those numbers.
The Ant-Man.
Crunch these numbers, 774-5839. That's 239-774-5839. We've crunched the numbers for you. Molly Maid, it's where to go if you're looking to have someone clean your house. The most affordable house cleaners on the planet. Call them today, 774-5839.
And what's that slogan again that we came up with that they put on shirts and we get no credit for? We're really good at that.
Give your spouse the gift of a clean house.
See what we did there? Crunch those numbers. Didn't even need 17 pages to come up with that. That was like the third Molly Maid live read we came up with that. And we'd be great consultants in our next life. Maybe we should do that. Instead, we're doing sports talk radio. Morons.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Florida.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
If you're in love and thinking about a diamond, you'll want to hear from my friends Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When purchasing a diamond, you deserve a relaxed, stress-free, and educational experience. You want to have a good time and feel comfortable. You want selection, quality, and value.
At the Diamond District, you'll get it all. With our team of non-commissioned diamond advisors, no one's in a rush. We care only about you and making sure your needs and wishes are fulfilled.
You'll be wowed by our selection of GIA certified diamonds, stunning diamond bracelets, earrings, pre-owned Rolex watches, exotic ruby, sapphire, emerald, and tanzanite jewelry. There's something for everyone at the Diamond District, and all at the lowest prices anywhere.
Jason and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day. We look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Trent, what's your dad's name?
Donald.
He like retweeted something or liked something that we posted on X recently.
Yeah, it was probably the thing about the green beer.
That was it.
I thought that was great.
It was anytime you want. That stuff's great.
You're supposed to do it.
Got to have a cocktail in my house last night. It was fantastic. My wife gave up drinking for Lent, so there's not much need for me to have a drink. Like I feel weird making a cocktail at home. But the mother-in-law wanted a martini last night, so I got to have a Manhattan.
Mother-in-law look at her daughter and go, "You did what?"
She ripped her. I don't believe in giving things up for Lent. You know what I'm doing? You know what I'm doing for Lent? I'm doing extra things. I'm not giving stuff up. I mean, just chastised her. It was awesome.
You sat back and said, Nancy, I've never felt so close to you before.
So funny yesterday. We went to go to lunch after Nancy got in, and we, instead of going to the Fat Cats slider bar right, a mile from the house,
right,
Eve wanted to go to Fat Cats on Daniels because she likes their French fries better.
Gotcha.
They're closed on Monday.
Oh.
So we went to we just went to the other one. So we took a long drive. We went the long way to go a mile.
No. So who sat in the back?
Nancy.
Wow.
With the kid.
Gotcha. Oh, that's right.
Spring break.
Right, spring break.
Got to go cold turkey kilos, Dad. I did it. What now? I haven't had a cigarette in 15 years.
I've never had one. I'm proud of that.
Probably a good thing.
I have a very addictive personality, and I do enough other bad stuff.
Yep, me neither. I've never.
God, they were firing darts on the golf course yesterday. It looked great. It's the only place I miss it. Nothing like getting behind the ball, firing that dart on the ground, exhaling as you're just getting up to the. Oh, it's fantastic.
60s and 70s golf and Major League Baseball. They'd be in the dugout, just doing darts. You'd see them come out of the dugout to go onto the field, and the smoke would follow them.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour." Thanks so much for being with us. We're Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. All right. I'm going to go to the Bally metric system here.
All right.
Actually, it's KenPom.
Whatever one you want to go to.
But I saw this, what was it? It's a post, right?
Yes.
It's no longer a tweet, it's a post. Using KenPom pre-tournament data, i.e. crunching the numbers. 22 of the last 24 national champions had a top 18 adjusted offense.
Okay.
I don't know what that means. But apparently the two outliers were UConn in 2011 and 2014. And 23 of the last 24 national champions had a top 37, not top 40, not top 35, top 37 adjusted defense. 2021 Baylor was the outlier, and they say you can put an asterisk next to that because that was the year with COVID delays and less games and what have you, so the metrics were a little skewed. Okay. According to those two criteria, how many teams of the 68 then are viable national championship contenders?
8.
Good guess. 7.
Okay.
3 of them are in our poll question.
There's a shocker.
Our poll question, if you missed it, you could have UConn, Houston, and Purdue, or you could have the field. Who would you take?
And Trent's going to have his foot firmly planted in his mouth tomorrow when he tells me one of those 3 teams are at the end of his bracket when he said he took the field in today's poll question.
Well, we know it's not going to be Purdue.
David, for what it's worth, adjusted offense is the amount of points you score per 100 possessions.
Okay, thank you. And I'm assuming that adjusted defense is the number of points you give up.
Yes, and the reason that it's called adjusted is because you have a team like Virginia or Duquesne or whoever can't score, Iowa State, And you get to compare them to a run and gun team.
Right. Fewer possessions. Got it. So one of these 7 will win the national championship.
All right. Give them to me.
UConn, Houston, Purdue.
Right.
3 of the
big
4
3.
ones. All right. Arizona, Creighton, Auburn, Duke. That's it.
That's who's going to win. Anybody else that you have in your bracket, you're wasting your time. Iowa State.
So North Carolina, Iowa State, Tennessee, Marquette, Illinois, Baylor, Kentucky, Alabama, Kansas. All top 4 seeds. All wasting your time. That's according to the 21st century Ken Palm pre-tournament data. Crunching the numbers, as we now like to say. So you buying that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, 100%.
I'm very surprised Duke's on the list. I'm also surprised Auburn's on the list. I didn't realize that they graded out. Now, it's only top 37, which is basically top 10%, because there's like 363 or 66 Division I teams. So they're basically saying top 5% offensively in adjusted offense, top 10% in adjusted defense. That's basically the criteria. 7 teams qualify. It also surprises me Creighton qualifies defensively. Never surprises me they qualify offensively. They're always very good. So
this is not crunching the numbers. This is one of the things that I think has hurt the brackets. And Trent would probably tell me that I'm crazy, but I loved filling out a bracket. Turning in when one guy in the office was in charge of collecting them all, had to grade all the papers, and it wasn't done by a computer. And you looked at a bracket and you filled it out. Now all of these are done electronically. I think that loses some of the luster of filling out a bracket. Like when I did see Trent handwrite his brackets, I smiled.
No, I completely agree with you, because my dad was the guy who ran his work pool, and me and my brother Brock would have the clipboard, and literally when games were finished, you had to go through 40 brackets with the highlighter and highlight who got it right.
What do you mean you have the clipboard? How does that work?
You have the 40 brackets on a clipboard that way you can turn the page, and as opposed to stapling them together.
Probably a 3-ring binder is what is more along the lines, but
gotcha. Okay. All right.
We've all wanted to carry a clipboard for some money.
Well, there's no doubt. I mean, I was intrigued. I'm like, first off, I'm picturing, now he's all of 24 years old now, so I'm picturing a 10 to 12-year-old Trent.
Wearing sunglasses, hat on backwards, walking around the house with a clipboard.
Totally. Okay. And you know what? Probably high and tight even at 12.
There's no doubt. Dad's on his 8th Miller Lite.
Right. And he's an athlete. He's in really good shape. He's skinny now. Can only imagine, he was 68 pounds. All right. And he's walking around, but the most serious person in the room. Oh, we got an upset here, 314. And just starts, just going through paper by paper. I'm done with this guy. I'm done with this guy. Right.
Hey, Dad, look at Jimmy had Vermont winning. How about that?
I could just picture Trent be the one. Remember when the teacher go up and down the aisles and handing out your grades? C+, do better next time. Okay, I can see Trent just throwing, you're out, you're out, you're out. You still have a chance. You're out, you're out.
I used to beg all my teachers to let me run the pool for the class, and a couple of them actually let me did it over the years. It's a lot of fun.
I've told this before, but I had a Super Bowl board, and it was if in high school it was $10 a square. It's $20 a square, $25 a square, something like that. It was an actual pretty good expensive board for high school. And I remember, and I was collecting weekly I think it might have been $10 a square. And I'm collecting weekly, so kids would pay me $1 a week for their square. And I remember walking into a classroom collecting money, and the teacher looking at me going, Father Landemeyer was our principal. And what would Father Landemeyer think about that? And I went, well, he's got a square here, he's got a square here, and he's got a square here.
Right.
So how about you back up a little bit and let me collect my money?
That's great.
In fact, Father Landemeyer said, if you have trouble selling that last square, I'll buy it. Right. So anyway, there's crunching some more numbers.
I like your numbers, David. I like your numbers. It's feeding right into what I need to know.
I
And that's
know.
one of the big three is going to win this tournament.
Right. That's our poll question. And sure enough, UConn, Houston, and Purdue, all of them are top 5 offense, top 10 defense, according to adjusted offense, adjusted defense. And basically, you have to be both to win the national title. The only 3 teams this century who were not both, UConn in 2011 and 2014, and Baylor 3 years ago. That's it. Otherwise, so UConn, Houston, Purdue, Arizona, Creighton, Auburn, Duke. 2 4 seeds making that criteria. Doesn't Auburn play UConn in the Sweet 16?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Just wondering about that.
Yes.
Thought so.
Mark, have you decided which one of the big dogs you're going to take?
No.
But you will
It's going
take
to
one
be,
of those 3.
Oh, absolutely. It'll probably be UConn. I'll be like everyone else. I'm rooting for Purdue. I genuinely am rooting for Purdue, for a team that in a school that wants it so badly and has had so much disappointment. I would love to see Purdue do what Virginia did, lose to the 16, come back and win the whole thing. It would be great for them. I like Edie. I like their team. And would be nice to see a school that has had so much disappointment get it right this year.
Let me ask you this, and we know a Purdue fan, I mean, besides the fact Gary Danielson, friend of the show, obviously played quarterback at Purdue, but we know a diehard Purdue fan who's across the hall and produces one of the radio shows in the studio where you guys are at. Ask him this, humor me, and say to him, you make the Final Four, but you don't win the title. Is that good enough?
Wow.
Okay, because they haven't been since 80. Haven't even gotten to the Final Four since 80. So I'm wondering, to a Purdue fan, is just getting to the Final Four. That's like, I mean, quite frankly, if the Lions had won the NFC Championship game, right?
Yes.
And just, they made it to the Super Bowl but lost. Would that have been enough?
Brett in our Twitch chat room's a Purdue alum. He says, not this year. That wouldn't do it.
Okay. So I'm guaranteeing you the Final Four, or you can take your chances.
I'd take my chances if I were Purdue.
So would I. I mean, you have to, because David, I think that's a great question, but it's one of those things where it's their pendulum has swung so far in one direction, since 1980. That's going to hang over them forever until they finally win a national championship. So you've got a team.
Are you sure? It's funny because when and I was at Purdue for all of 4 hours this year broadcasting a game, but in watching a decent number of Purdue games this year and listening to the people talk about Purdue, I don't hear them talk about the national title. I hear them talk about the Final Four. They got to get back to the final. Katie never made it. Painters never made it. Can they get to the Final Four? Remember, Mark, this is how it used to be in college football forever. You two grew up in Big Ten country. It's totally skewed in recent years. What was the whole deal if you rooted for a Big Ten team?
Get to the Rose Bowl.
Get to the Rose Bowl. That it was get to Pasadena. Everything else after that was a bonus. Michigan lost so many times by the end. It was like, well, can we win a couple of these? Okay, but the whole deal, if you were in the Big Ten, was to get to Pasadena. Not win the national title, not even win the Rose Bowl. It was get to it.
I was with a former Michigan football player last night. Didn't win a Rose Bowl. Guys, how many Rose Bowls did you get to? And I mean, before I could get the question on, he went 3. And his buddy goes, well, you didn't win one. That didn't matter to him, if you know what I mean. Sure, he would have loved to have won one, but it was right away. It was 3. Words couldn't come out fast enough. The word.
And that's why I'm really curious with a Purdue fan. Like, it's a Final Four, and we end that. No more 1980. All right? Can we get to the Final Four? They'll hang that banner. I'm absolutely convinced they hang that banner.
Of course. And David, I think that would have been enough last year. It would have been enough really the last decade. It's different because it's this team. Edie's gone after this year. You're going to lose a lot of this team, and this is the group. And that, like Finn's Brett said, who's a Purdue alum and a big fan in the Twitch chat room, if not now, when? So I think it is championship or bust this year.
And I wonder if, because it still matters to fans and conferences, they lost the Big Ten tournament. If they would have won the Big Ten tournament, would have just been Final Four? But I don't know. I don't know if that matters to a fan anymore.
Purdue's won so many Big Ten tournaments. I mean,
being upset this year in the way that they were, does that add to it, David?
If we were doing I would love to be doing a talk show for this poll question in, Purdue's backyard, and that would be the poll question. All right. I'll give you the Final Four, but I ain't giving you anything else. Or roll the dice and take your chances.
90% to 10% would be roll the dice.
Really?
Yes.
Down? Do they really think they're going to beat UConn?
Yes.
They're
I
best.
don't know if they think UConn's going to get there.
Okay, but if you're a Purdue fan and do you really think your A game is the best game in the country? When you play your best game, do you think you're the best team in the country? You're not.
Most dominant player?
You're not. You're not. You're the second best team in the country. Your A game's the second best. Your A game's not the best team in the country.
But this is one game. It's one game. Anything can happen. You absolutely roll the dice.
All right.
I mean, I don't know. You drew the comparison earlier to the Lions. I would have rolled the dice if you said
you did.
I did. Yeah,
you did. You were making those plans for Vegas at halftime, and it didn't work out for you.
We talked about it. Yeah, and you know what? I got to live with that right now. But in that moment, that thought is so tantalizing. You cannot pass it up.
You're damn right, Trent. I'm with you.
This Purdue team is that good. Zach Edey is that good. He's going to win back-to-back Player of the Year awards.
Right.
A Final Four is enough.
Yep.
Come on.
Yep. Last guy to do that was Samson. How many times did Ralph cut down the nets?
Oh, that would be 0, David.
Thank you. Thank you. Just wondering.
Miller and Moulton. 21,000 is the text line. If you want to chime in on our little Purdue or title or Final Four, roll the dice question. Time to switch gears, though.
Mm-hmm.
From the hard court to the pigskin.
Yep.
Pat Kirwan's in the on-deck circle. We will talk all things National Football League next with Pat. Thanks so much for listening. MillerandMoulton.com, on X, Miller_Moulton.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When choosing something of high value and personal significance, such as a diamond, you want to shop with the best. And the mall is not the place to be. Here are my friends, Jason and Todd with the Diamond District.
Take a stroll in the mall, pop into a few jewelry stores, and you'll soon discover you're in the wrong place. Rings begin to look all alike. You're not finding GIA certified diamonds. You quickly realize you know more than a salesperson helping you, and all the same financing gets pushed on you.
Visit Jason and me, and you'll find America's top bridal designers dealing exclusively with the Diamond District. You'll find the largest selection of GIA certified diamonds, all priced 8 to 10% over cost. You'll find educated sales consultants who have many years' experience and are not paid commissions.
And you'll find Todd and me in the store nearly every day, wanting to shake your hand and welcome you to our Diamond District family.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Good morning, fellas.
Good morning, Pat. So, Pat, I got a story for you.
Oh, good.
My buddy's coming in town Monday, guy I've known since the 7th grade. He played college football. His kid's going to be a junior in high school, and he's a pretty good lineman, apparently. And so we were talking. He has him working out with a former college player, and the college scouts are coming to, or the guy who does 24/7 is coming to look at him and to give him his stars and all that. And I started just talking. I said, I go, how tall is he again? He goes, he's 6'2.5". I go, you're moving him to guard, right? And he just, he gives me, I go, well, Chris, he's never going to play in the league at that height at tackle. And I go, look, I talked to this guy. I go, these are things I know. And so we're going on. He goes, well, he's actually moving to guard. He's going to learn how to snap and take it. That's great. And I said, I mentioned Paul Alexander. Chris starts laughing. He goes, he coached me at Central Michigan. And he said, so he goes, they're doing a drill. And his buddy does something wrong. And Alexander, you got to have that base. You got to get the base. And Klein says the kid comes back, from there, and Chris, just being a smart aleck, goes, yeah, you got to have that base. He said, Alexander hears me. Comes running at him. So you're a smart ass, Klein. You think you're funny, huh? He goes, Paul Alexander was in my face so fast. I had no idea he was there. He goes, I have never felt so small in my entire life.
I will tell Paul about Klein.
I knew you would. Chris Klein is his name. Played at Central Michigan. He was a tight end.
I absolutely will have Paul reminiscing. We'll get Paul's version of Klein.
Oh, and he said, and Klein loved him. He said, he was great. He was a mean son of a. He was every practice he found someone to just annihilate. If you were on his bad side of the practice, you had a long effing day.
Yeah, well, that's why Dallas got rid of him, because he was ripping the crap out of those guys for not working hard. And they undermined him. The assistant coach undermined him and said, he's too rough on the guys.
He said, when I mentioned Paul Alexander's name, he just started laughing. He goes, man.
Thanks for the memories. He didn't think about that nightmare for years until you brought up the name.
Oh,
very nice.
Yeah, he's coming. He's gonna be here next week, so I'm going to meet him for lunch. I get to meet his kid for the first time.
Good. He should be talking to Paul about letting Paul watch his film.
That's why I'm telling you.
Yeah, I'll have.
Pat, I'm sure you've heard these stories a lot, being around Phil all the time that you have, but Phil Sims told the story about Parcells just didn't like the way we were practicing. He comes up to me before practice. He goes, don't ask any questions, but I am going to ride your ass all day. You need to take it. I need you to take it. I'll explain later. Phil's kind of like, okay. And Phil goes, even with the warning, he killed me. He goes, I was like nearly in tears. He was so hard on me. And like weeks later, Phil goes, you never explained it to me. And Bill just said, hey, man, if I could talk to you that way, the rest of the team's going, holy blank. What about the rest of us?
Yeah. And that's why Belichick took Brady like that. He learned it from Bill. Yeah. Phil makes me laugh talking about. But, Phil eventually fought back. I told you this great line of all time to Bill Parcells. Now I know why your daughters hate you.
Well, on that note, here we go.
Yeah.
listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Thrilled to be joined once again by Pat Kirwan. He of NFL Radio's Moving the Chains. That's weekdays 3 to 7 during the heart of the season. They even do a Saturday show. And then he works Sundays for good measure with CBS's NFL Today show. Pat joins us once again courtesy of Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, all points in between. Pinchers, where you can't fake fresh. Well, man, a hell of a lot's happened since you were last on the show. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. Yeah, it's been quite busy, and a lot of people want to officially say it's over, but it's not. There's still plenty of guys. And so what do you do now? What the pathetic world I live in, you start looking at who still needs a lot of stuff. And I was working on offense last night and part of this morning. So, I mean, I still have 6 teams that need a starting left tackle. And when it comes to tight ends, we have 6 teams that don't even have more than 3 on their roster. So they're going to be taking a 4th and a 5th. And so you go down. Centers. There are 6 teams that only have 1 center on the roster. Yeah, one of the guards can play center. But you're trying to figure out, is the draft going to set up good for them? And I'm sure you want to talk about Pittsburgh because I've enjoyed my time talking to Omar over the weekend.
Well, talk to us about the Steelers because now, they bring in Russ. He's going to be the starter. They clear out the entire quarterback room and they bring in Fields. So what's going on in Pittsburgh, Pat?
Well, it's first off, I said to Omar, congratulations to you. You got 2 quarterbacks that are legitimate players. But I don't particularly think Fields is ready to win games, and I think he's proven that with 10 wins. But for his salary and Russell's salary combined for this year, you're like $4.5 million, and you've got 2 quarterbacks. Number 2, you don't have to flip offenses to get Fields ready because whatever you're doing with Russell will be suitable for Fields as well. Number 3, Fields has never really sat in a quarterback room and learned from anybody. Russell's anal now. He's a hard worker. He's a very disciplined on his preparation. And he's the opposite of Justin. As my friends in Chicago would say, Justin kind of just wants to wing it. And Russell will not wing it. He is on top of what's going on. So it'll be a good relationship for Justin. He'll get a lot out of it. And then the team's going to have decisions to make. What are you going to do with these guys? I don't think Justin will get on the field unless Russell gets hurt. But how are you going to? I know Russell's agent. Russell's agent is going to ask for $55 million next year, so they might have to go with Justin. So get him ready. What a tutoring opportunity to get him ready in case it goes that way.
Pat, without divulging what you can't divulge, did the Steelers at the end of the season come to a conclusion that their quarterback room wasn't any good, or did this just kind of happen? Because, in theory, Denver could have kept Russ. And so, in theory, maybe 2 of the 3 quarterbacks in the room for Pittsburgh are still there, or with those off-season meetings, Tomlin was unhappy, the Rooneys were unhappy. Is this one of the things they decided, hey, we need to stop messing around. We need to get a proven quarterback.
Well, Mr. Rooney told him he was tired of not winning a playoff game, and he made that public. Number 2, you can speculate who you think's going to become available, but you have no guarantees, so you really have a hard time saying, well, we're just going to wait and we'll take Russell. They're pretty sure they thought he'd get released. They didn't really know what was going on with Fields. And so you have these ideas of what you do. Oh, you wake up every day. Here's the truth. You wake up every day and say, can I upgrade the roster today? In December, you couldn't say that. Can we upgrade the roster? No. In January, can you say no? Now you get to when Russell's released, and all of a sudden when you ask that daily question, can we upgrade the roster? The answer is yes. And for $1.2 million, you can really upgrade the roster. And so I think Pickett was never totally embraced. I don't think everybody was really on board to take Pickett. I think it was a very late decision to take him. And they had a chance to upgrade. And then the whole situation with Justin, and I had said something to Omar. I said, hey, you got a 3rd for Pickett. Turn around and give it to Chicago. And obviously, Omar knew better than me. I said to Omar afterwards, that's why I retired. I would have given him the third. You got him for a sixth. So you're smarter than me.
Well, did
Sure.
Chicago screw this up, Pat? I mean, at the end of the day, they ended up getting a sixth that could be a fourth for Fields. If they would have traded him earlier, was there an opportunity to get more? How do you look at Chicago at the end of the day on this Fields deal?
Well, they love to blame the former GM, whoever that is, because they keep rolling GMs through there. But the truth is, this team's got an MO the same way. It's a tough city. They put their quarterbacks on the field too early because they don't have a real starter in front of them. So they throw him out there, and they destroyed Trubisky, who, by the way, went to the playoffs twice, and they still ran him out of town. So you kind of knew this was going to happen sooner or later. And with the first pick in the draft and them very interested in the quarterback, I think they kind of thought Fields wasn't going to be here. I kind of laughed when I heard, well, we did what was best for Justin. Your job isn't to do what's best for Justin. Your job is to do what's best for the Bears. So if they left compensation on the table, now they could have said we don't want him in the conference, or certainly don't want him in the division, just in case Minnesota called. But yeah, it's like a lot of things in Chicago. Name the quarterback they've ever had that's a great player. I mean, I always have to tell Jim he's one of them. Jim still has the longest tenure of the 400-yard game, but they've never been a quarterback operation in modern football.
Well, and speaking of which, Pat, I mean, they actually have a decent roster. They've certainly upgraded the offensive skill players. The offensive line now, I don't know if it's good, but it's at least league average, where for most of the last 3 years it's been woeful. I mean, if they had a veteran quarterback, who's going to be the Kurt Warner for their Eli Manning, if you know what I mean? The only guy out there who's done anything in the league is Tannehill, right?
Yeah, he's it. And then you're down to Wentz after that. And I remind myself, Wentz was a starter in this league. So, and he played pretty good in Indianapolis. The irony of it all is, what would we three be saying if, when Russell Wilson was released, the Bears went and got him for $1.2 million?
We'd say they're a playoff contender.
Yeah. So shame on them for that one. And then they gave Fields away. So they're going to put a rookie out there. Here we go again. Do they have any way to put anyone on the field but their draft pick? No. So they're going to put the rookie out there. And this will be round 3 of 3 first-rounders in a row on the field too early.
So Robert Griffin made some noise yesterday saying that Caleb Williams should pull an Eli. Listening to you talk, Pat, that's not the worst idea for Caleb Williams. I know he won't do it, and I know you got to go play for the team and all of those things, but the way you're describing Chicago right now is that this isn't going to work for Caleb Williams.
Yeah, I'm not even sure I would draft him if you were me and I was Chicago. I've said that on the show already. I like the LSU quarterback better, period. But you better take the guy with the most readiness, because he's going out there. You better take the guy with the most college experience. You better take the guy that relates to pro football the best. And so I'm not so sure it is Caleb, but if they take Caleb, he'll be on the field. And in that city, they'll start booing on the first interception of his rookie season, because a lot of those people like Fields, and they're not happy with what happened. I get the pulse of that all the time from Jim. So yeah, they're kind of put themselves back in a bind here. There's no veteran they can bring in now, but they could have gone and got Russell and said, Russell, it's all yours. We got these receivers. If you come, we're going to take Marvin Harrison. They could have said a lot of things, and we'll keep Justin behind you. How ironic that the Fields and Russell combinations in Pittsburgh, a team that knows how to win.
Pat, you know the points chart. You've been involved in deals like this. So Minnesota trades back into the first round, so they have 2 firsts, 11 and 23. How high can 11 and 23 get you without having to add anything to it? Because they don't have a second rounder this year, and they don't have a second rounder next year. Can 11 and 23 get you to 4?
It can get you to 5, maybe 4, but I doubt it.
Okay.
What are you getting a 4 for? The first 3 quarterbacks are going to be gone. The guy you can get at 4 in the QB world is probably going to be there at 10 or 11.
Well, I know you move up because you're afraid somebody's going to move in front of you and take QB4. I mean, that's why.
Here's my first question on that. Who is QB4?
Well,
I don't know.
No one knows.
I think Penix. If you were to ask
I'm a
me, I would
Penix
say
guy.
Penix.
I'm a Penix guy too because he throws a pro football. But
that Michigan game scared the hell out
I've
of me.
heard more bad mouthing of J.J. McCarthy by Viking fans than anything. The fans aren't right all the time or any of that business, but they don't think of it that way. So Jim and I spent a lot of time yesterday on comparing this draft quarterbacks in order, and you can give me 4, 5, and 6 in any order you want, to the 2021 in order. And you just tell me what you see, because the 21 draft, as we all know, it's been well publicized, has been a disaster. Outside of Trevor, everyone else is gone or never played. And now we're sitting looking at this draft, and I'm just trying to calm all these people down. They talk about quarterback 4, 5, and 6 like they're good, like they're going to start and win. I go, you want to take a look at that other class and put it up against it? So we matched them all up. Trevor Lawrence beat anybody in this draft for the number 1 quarterback. And then right after that, pretty shaky ground.
So you're convinced we're going to go quarterback in this draft? You don't think that the Patriots would do something different?
Well, I went through quarterbacks as a drill, and so here's how I see it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams need a number 1 quarterback. 6. They need to get a real starter. And then after that, you start looking at who needs a number 2, a veteran who can play off the bench. Detroit needs it too. New Orleans needs it too. The Rams need it too. Then ask yourself, who needs a developmental guy? Okay, and you start looking at that, and you start realizing New Orleans needs that guy. Chicago clearly needs that guy. Kansas City needs it too. Detroit needs it too. It keeps going on. Rams need it too. So there's a lot of quarterbacks, but we're going to take guys in the first round that should not be ones. Love when Christian Ponder. He always reminds me of this.
Don't get me going with 8, 10, and 12 in that draft. He's Pat Kirwan. NFL Radio's moving the chains weekdays 3 to 7. And he joins us twice a week, courtesy of Pinchers. Tampa to Key West, all points in between. Pinchers, where you can't fake fresh. More with Pat on the other side here on Miller and Moulton.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When choosing something of high value and personal significance, such as a diamond, you want to shop with the best. And the mall is not the place to be. Here are my friends, Jason and Todd with the Diamond District. Take a stroll in the mall, pop into a few joy stores, and you'll soon discover you're in the wrong place. Rings begin to look all alike. You're not finding GIA certified diamonds. You quickly realize you know more than a salesperson helping you, and all the same financing gets pushed on you.
Visit Jason and me, and you'll find America's top bridal designers dealing exclusively with the Diamond District. You'll find the largest selection of GIA certified diamonds, all priced 8 to 10% over cost. You'll find educated sales consultants who have many years' experience and are not paid commissions.
And you'll find Todd and me in the store nearly every day, wanting to shake your hand and welcome you to our Diamond District family.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I do just want to answer DC in the Twitch chat room. DC, you mentioned Purdue and Edie and Duke and Leitner and UNLV. First off, it doesn't matter if you're talking about the first time they played them in 90 or the second time in 91. But in the second time, they had made 4 out of 5 Final Fours. Duke had 86, 88, 89, 90. Purdue hasn't made a Final Four in 44 years. I mean, it's a totally, it's tough to even find the comparison. But, all right.
Where's Rick Mount?
Yeah, who Edie passed, right?
Yeah.
Edie just passed him on the all-time Purdue scoring list.
Oh, everything else good, fellas?
Everything is great.
Yeah.
Do you miss being at football games with your boy Troy?
No. I'm happy when football season ends.
Yeah.
The travel, I'm done. I'm glad. In fact, the travel for me has now been reduced.
Yep.
The Thursday, Saturday, Sunday thing was hard.
Yeah.
That was, leave town.
Are you guys doing the Brazil game?
We think so.
Which Cleveland now is literally one of the Browns players yesterday said, well, we're going to Brazil, and no one really questioned him on it.
Well, that's another indication of we don't need validation. We just need rumors, and we'll make them headlines. If it turns out he's wrong, we'll call him stupid. Nope.
Because Pat, if you think about it, NBC is doing Thursday night. There's no way they're going to get Friday night, especially since they have a Sunday game. Our thought is there's no way they'd give the game to CBS. I mean, an Eagles home game. All right. So, also, would you give it to Fox and have Brady's first game be in Brazil? Never mind the fact it's the home country of his ex-wife.
He could visit the Bunchen family down there and say
Exactly. Right. So,
if you're ESPN, do you invite Giselle to the game?
She probably would come. I don't know. We'll find out who's got it. I don't think anyone at CBS wants it.
Well, no, and I don't think Fox wants it. And ESPN apparently would like to have it because they're in Brazil.
Well, there it is. That's who will get it then.
Right. What I'm curious about is, are we also then going to do Monday that week? Because my guess is we are.
Oh, yeah. Saturation's the operative word with the NFL.
No. I know the NFL is going to have a Monday night game. I'm just curious if we're going to do it. I would think we would. It would be the first. So I'm just, because, even in Air Aikman, Pat, I mean, it's 10.5 hours from Brazil to Dallas.
Yeah, I know. Good luck.
I know. I've already told Gary, I go, when we get Brazil, it means I'm out. That's Saturday. I think we're going to end up with Colorado at Nebraska that Saturday. Could be Iowa State, Iowa, but I think we're going to get Colorado, Nebraska.
Well,
tell Gary both Trent and I are available.
I will.
I was just going to say, is he looking for a fill-in?
Trent,
what's up?
I've been listening to your logic about basketball, and it seemed like David was stepping all over your Purdue feelings.
I don't know.
He's very anti-Purdue, Pat.
I think it's title or bust for Purdue. But like David.
Well, then it's bust.
Yeah.
If that's the choice, it's bust. I wouldn't bet on them to do it. We got our little lottery tonight with Brad Childerson, my brothers, and a couple of guys.
Fun.
Oh, yeah, it's great. I think one guy can't be
I love yours. This is the one where you buy teams, right?
Yeah, it's $200 a guy in, and then we have a regular draft. So last year we'll have like 12 or 1,400 in the pool. Half goes to the guy who wins the tournament, and half goes to the guy who has the most wins in the tournament. That first week's important if you want most wins.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
Our remaining moments with Pat Kirwan, NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, weekdays 3 to 7. It's also part of CBS's NFL Today show. Pat joining us once again, courtesy of Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, dozen or so locations in between. Pinchers where you can't fake fresh. All right, there's other stuff that's took place from when we last spoke on Friday until now. First off, do you think the Rams were surprised by Aaron Donald? I mean, they renegotiated his contract, and 3 hours later, he sent in his retirement papers. And just, Pat, you've been around the league a long time. All right, we were talking about it. Can you mention a defensive tackle that you're sure, positive, was better than Aaron Donald?
No, I was talking to Wade Phillips about it, and Wade coached him, and Wade coached a lot of guys that were very good players, and he didn't think they compared to him. I mean, I had to answer the question, who was the greatest Ram? And I'm sure you guys ran something like a poll question on that, but I voted for Deacon Jones, and I got a lot of pushback from the young guys who don't even remember who Deacon Jones was. But, I was always influenced by Bruce Allen and his father about Deacon and how, before they counted sacks, I think they thought he had one year where he had 40 of them. So, I'm a Deacon Jones guy. Do I think there's a tackle better? Well, Warren Sapp, his reputation is shaky, of course, but Warren Sapp set the tone in my mind for what a 3 technique could be if he was very talented. So Warren did a lot of things that were awesome, to tell you the truth. Before that, the guys up in Minnesota were rolling pretty hard. But at the end of the day, Aaron, and look, he might come back.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, Pat. Are you sure he's done?
No, I'm not sure that at all. The guy will stay in shape no matter what. He's a workout nut job, and he'll keep going. And he might think, after watching Joe Flacco come off the bench and have a nice run at the end, he might think, hey, if the team's good, look, he might have learned from Sue how to end your career. A couple of these late appearances for 6 weeks and a Super Bowl run. So if the Rams are really good and it's December 15th, he might come back. I don't know why he wouldn't. I think he will. It's happened many times before.
I got to admit, if he had stuck around, I think they were going to seriously challenge the Niners for the division. I mean, this sounds strange because they lost to the Lions and the Niners beat the Lions, but the Rams actually played better against Detroit than the Niners did. The Rams took it to Detroit for large portions of that game. They just weren't good in the red zone, and all their offseason moves, Pat, have basically been to get bigger and tougher inside the 20. I think the Rams are going to be a sneaky 12-win team this year.
I think you're all over who they are. And it'll be tough to do without Aaron Donald, mainly because they have to run all the protections to Aaron Donald. So now the pressure is going to be spread out to the outside rushers, which was where they're not great. But I think if they can just hang in there and be right in the middle of this thing, we'll see Aaron Donald again. I would never bet against that.
Pat, I remember, before free agency started, you liked the safety pool. Is there a pool, a positional area of players that's still thick right now?
Yeah, there's 3. I knew you'd ask me, Mark. So 3 of them, by the way I look at availability, cornerbacks, wide receivers, and safeties. You can still tap into free agency and look at those. Cornerbacks, Steve Nelson, Gilmore's in there, Adoree Jackson, Xavier Howard, Tre'Davious White, Fulton. You go over the safeties, Justin Simmons, Micah Hyde, Quadre Diggs, Blackman, even Jamal Adams. So you can get a safety, you can get a corner. And as I said, when looking at breaking down people's running backs, you know how many teams? There are 5 teams that only have 3 running backs. So we know they're going to go to the draft. You got to go to camp with no less than 5. So if you get 1 in the draft and then you want to tap free agency, you still have Zeke, you have Patterson, you have Kareem Hunt, Foreman. you can still get a running back. Those are the three pools that are still okay. Most of the other ones are exhausted.
Your thoughts on the Jets signing of Tyron Smith, a one-year deal. He played in the most number of games last year that he had played in a while. Cowboys handled him differently last year. He hardly ever practiced. He worked out on the side. Your thoughts? I mean, the Jets are going with two 33-year-old tackles, one guy they cut a few years ago, and Tyron, who when healthy is terrific, but he ain't always healthy.
Yeah, they're trying to become the oldest team in football. I mean, if you look at their roster with, Rodgers and everybody else, you start to realize that when this bubble bursts, and it will because that's the way life is, they're old, they're going to have a lot of holes in that roster. So they're making this run for right now, and I don't even know if they're good enough to make that run, but they're doing it. The guy who's crying the hardest is David Bakhtiari, because I'm sure he thought Rodgers will get me to the Jets, and now with Tyron there, he's not coming. I don't like taking older guys with bad backs, and that's who he is. And sometimes the young guys who have good work ethic, when they see the old guys never practicing and playing in the games, it's not good for the way those guys develop their own work habits.
You sure Bakhtiari's not going to end up with the Jets? I mean, why wouldn't they just go get another old tackle?
Yeah, I think that kind of question is almost realistic with the Jets. If Rodgers wants, Rodgers gets, but where are they going to put him? So they probably shouldn't have gotten Moses, told David, go over and play right tackle. But another medical risk. So I don't know where they're going with this. Does anyone think, I asked Jim this question yesterday, does anybody think their moves have put them into contention for the division title?
Well, I do think it's fair, though, to say that the Bills roster is not as good today as it was 10 days ago, and the Dolphins roster is not as good today as it was 10 days ago. Now, the Jets lost a couple, a pass rusher, but I mean, Pat, these two tackles, question marks galore, are a hell of a lot better than the two tackles they had last year.
They are, but do you think they'll play 17 games?
Hell no.
Yeah, so here comes December. They break down. This has happened to me because I signed a bunch of old tackles. David Alexander was one of them, the center. He broke down. And so where are they going to be when we're in this stretch run after Thanksgiving? You got to think of these older guys as potentially unavailable. So maybe you're right, Mark. Bakhtiari, then bring him in.
You can't have enough bodies, and I don't think any of these guys are going to play 17 games. So why not have 3 or 4 of them? That's just the way I think.
There's nothing wrong with the way you think. That is potentially the way it should be. Personally, I would be drafting one. There's a nice fat group of rookie tackles in this draft. I would get a developmental tackle right now and really say to myself, next year, probably Tyron and Moses will be gone. I got to get the guy who's going to step in and take over.
Yeah, if they take Brock Bowers at 10, I think it'd be a huge mistake. They definitely need to draft a tackle. How does one of the 3 best offensive lines in the league sign Kevin Zeitler? I mean, the Lions signing of Zeitler, who grades out as one of the best guards in the league. I know he's 34, but he can play.
I like Zeitler a lot. Paul Alexander still works with him, so I get a lot of intel about how he's doing and how serious he still is. He went to the perfect place.
Yes.
This is the offensive line heaven. They are prideful of how they play in the O-line. There's so much toughness in the group. They're actually going to look up to him, and they're already tough without him. He'll be a leader on that team, and they'll love having him, and he'll love being there. Lunch pail offense.
He's Pat Kirwan. NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, which is weekdays 3 to 7. He joins us twice a week throughout the NFL season until it gets really slow, which is post-draft. Then it's once a week. And he's brought to you courtesy of Pinchers. Pinchers from Tampa to Key West and all points in between. Pinchers, where you can't fake fresh. Good luck with your brackets, Pat.
Yeah, and I'll talk to you guys Friday. Owners meetings start Sunday in Orlando. Plenty of stuff will go on there.
Ask Jarrah if he's all in for us, will you? Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening.
Visit
You are
Jason
such a
and
good
Todd at the Diamond District.
If you're in love and thinking about a diamond, you'll want to hear from my friends Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When purchasing a diamond, you deserve a relaxed, stress-free, and educational experience. You want to have a good time and feel comfortable. You want selection, quality, and value.
At the Diamond District, you'll get it all. With our team of non-commissioned diamond advisors, no one's in a rush. We care only about you and making sure your needs and wishes are fulfilled.
You'll be wowed by our selection of GIA certified diamonds, stunning diamond bracelets, earrings, pre-owned Rolex watches, exotic ruby, sapphire, emerald, and tanzanite jewelry. There's something for everyone at the Diamond District, and all at the lowest prices anywhere.
Jason and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day. We look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So is it bad, David, that they had my daughter, they have everybody try to pitch in softball. My daughter wasn't half bad, so they have her pitching. Is it bad that I've already reached out to the Virginia Tech pitching coach for drills?
Well, if you're going to do it, you might as well do it well.
You will like my text to him, though, by the way. I said, how's things? Question for you. My daughter's 9 and playing softball. They have her pitching. She sucks. But do you ever do videos or drills for beginners that I could show her? Just put it right out there. We are not expecting her to be throwing for FGCU one day.
Right.
I'm just trying to get her to get it over the plate more proficiently. Agent 99 was hot. I loved Get Smart. Got a text, David. Tragedy. Just bought a box of brown sugar cinnamon Pop-Tarts. They've been downsized. So little filling, they suck now.
Well, everything's been downsized. They don't suck. They're just not as good. But it is noticeable. I will give you that.
Jake, no. Gymnastics is still number one. Softball and soccer are merely social activities for her. Until the game starts, though. She's a gamer. She has her father's competitiveness. The only difference between my, and maybe not all girls, between my daughter and my son is that when she loses a game, she doesn't care. Like, does not give two craps. Which I find hysterical.
So in the heat of the moment, she's all in.
She's all in, but when the game's over, if they lose, it's like, oh, whatever.
She loses no sleep over it.
Not an ounce.
That's funny. I envy that.
I do too.
That's not a bad way to,
But I think, there's a few girls that take it, but for the most part, all girls are more like that than boys.
Yeah. I could see that.
Dang. Matt Devitt got in a big car wreck.
Yeah. My wife follows him, so she was updating me yesterday. Sounds like it was his fault. Not saying it's a good thing. It's just a comment. Obviously, I'm glad he's okay, although banged
Who's
up a
this?
little bit.
The local weather guy.
Oh, okay.
On Wink. CBS in Fort Myers, Naples. Hello.
Yeah, that's where I watched the selection show the other day. On Wink.
There you go.
That was my first Wink viewing experience.
Yeah. Based on the ratings, you're not alone.
Hey now.
Dominican coffee? Okay.
David, I filled my bracket. I was telling.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour. Kicking it around today. The tournament gets underway tonight. 10 hours from now. True TV, baby. Go find it. You haven't watched anything on it in 366 days. Leap year, it's an extra day. Nothing. So go find it. True TV. You need it for this week.
Yes, you do.
The whole week, and then you can forget about it again for another 360 days. So for those of you, cutting the cord, you moved, or just make sure you have it. That's all I'm
Cutting
saying.
the cord has hit me in two spots. The Florida Bally's, which you got to pay an exorbitant sum for, that I'm not willing to do yet. I'm getting closer.
Okay.
And no NHL network. That's bit me in the tuchus a couple of times. I've been ready to watch a game, and because I have the ESPN Plus, so I'm of the assumption I get every hockey game.
Right.
Except for those on NHL Network and Florida Panther games. And that's tough because the Florida Panthers are a great watch.
They are, and that's why the playoffs will be great, because you'll be able to get every Florida Panthers game, of which there could be many. So can you humor me more than you already do?
I'll at least try.
Okay. It was a loaded question. I didn't mean to do that. MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. And go vote in our poll question, which is you could have UConn, Houston, and Purdue, or you could have the other 65 teams. Who you taking? And apparently you guys are thinking that, none of those consensus top three. I mean, they've been the teams ranked number one this whole calendar year so far. And you're like, yeah, they're not winning. Okay. It's like 3-1 taking the field, I think, at last glance. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X. Okay. Mark, you're a Penix guy, right?
Yes.
Trent, You like Penix? Like you think of him as a first rounder you're drafted in the late 20s, or I would trade up into the late 20s to take Michael Penix as my quarterback of the future, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Curious, do either one of you think that way about Bo Nix?
I don't.
Okay. Mel Kiper, listen, he's just got to produce content. Mel Kiper is Bo Nix going 12 to Denver. He has 5 of the top 12 being quarterbacks.
Well, and I've heard Nix to Denver as well. I mean, just, in what we read and study, Kiper's not the first one to say that.
Right.
That's been out there for a little while.
Now,
I'm not that far off on Nix, by the way. I mean, he multiple places, had success in both schools. That's got to count for something.
Did he have success at Auburn?
Well, statistically, his tape, he has good tape.
On his ankles and wrists.
That's a good one.
So here are the teams drafting in the 20s. So you guys are the GMs of all of these teams when they come up. And you both are thinking, I like Michael Penix. I'm very comfortable with Michael Penix being my quarterback of the future. Right? You both just said that.
Yep.
Okay. The Steelers are at 20.
Not now with the
Okay.
moves they've made.
Dolphins are 21.
That's interesting.
Of course it is, because are you doing now, in theory, between now and the draft, are the Dolphins doing that deal with Tua?
By the way, though, they could keep almost the exact same playbook down to the fact that Penix is a lefty. That would be remarkable if those two shared a QB room.
Now, the Eagles are at 22. That doesn't seem okay. The Vikings are at 23.
That's
depending on what they
do
at 11. Right. And also, they have a couple different options at 23. Most people think they're going to go corner because their pass defense was bottom 5 in the league. And, Flores blitzes so much, the corners are on an island a lot. And that, so a couple of guys have been mentioned. If one of the Alabama corners is available, this Cooper DeJean guy from Iowa who's injured, but before he got injured, he was definitely seen as a first rounder. Okay, so a lot of people have cornered to the Vikings. I'm going to throw this out there. What if the Vikings decide they don't want to pay Justin Jefferson? What if the Vikings are going to trade JJ and take a wide receiver at 23? And then their starting 2 wide receivers will be a second-year guy and a first-year guy. I'm just saying, are they going to give 5 years, $140 million to Justin Jefferson?
Would you? Well, that's a bad question. Of course you would. You love Eagle receivers.
Of course I would.
I apologize. That's a bad question.
Now that's assuming that the Vikings actually stay at 11 and 23 and don't trade up. Okay. Cowboys. I mean, they retooled Dak's little $5 million roster bonus here, made it a signing bonus. They saved $4 million against the cap by doing it. How's the negotiations going on that long-term deal for?
They're not.
Okay, thank you. So at 24, if you're the Cowboys, if you don't get a deal with Dak by the draft and Penix is on the board, you're the Cowboys. You taking him?
David, I hope they do.
Yes or no?
I said, I hope they do. Okay. I don't think that they will.
I agree.
The fact if they're all in and went quarterback, the world would freak out. If they took a quarterback, the sports world would freak the you-know-what out. I would love it. Nothing would make me happier than for the Cowboys to take Penix there, but I don't think there's a chance in hell that it would happen.
Well, they don't have any leverage on Dak right now. I'd give them leverage. Packers are at 25. We know they're not going to do that. What about Tampa Bay at 26?
I don't think so.
No. We're not predicting if they're going to do it. I'm saying if you were the general manager of the Bucs, you think Michael Penix is a franchise quarterback. You're not saying he's the top 5, 6 guy in the league, but you think Michael Penix, by his 3rd year in the league, would be a top 15 quarterback in the league, top 12?
Yeah, I don't know how much. If it's top 12, then the answer is, if you think it's top 12, then the answer is yes. If you think it's top, 15 to 18, isn't that what you already have with Baker?
But Baker's, about to turn 30 in a year. Remember, Baker was the first pick of the 2018 draft. This is his 7th season in the league coming up. But you've got him under contract. Just wondering, if you were the Bucks, remember, this is your scouting report. Deep down, you feel you're Jason Light at this moment in time. You feel Penix is a quarterback of the future guy. Do you do it? Just wondering. Okay. Now, obviously, teams can trade in the late 20s. Arizona's at 27.
Now, that's incredibly interesting because they don't believe they have their quarterback.
We don't think so. You know, this new regime had him for half a season. That contract's just kicking in, though. That contract is a problem.
But we have seen with what Denver did with Russ, teams are willing to throw these. At least a team has been willing to say, don't care what the hit is. I'm done with this guy. And the only way to do that, David, is to draft a rookie quarterback that you get 4 years of salary relief from while you're getting out of the jam that you are from cutting a quarterback like that.
Now, I do think as we do this drill that you could see the places where other teams who are drafting in the early to mid-second rounds, these are the teams I'd call to try to trade in for. You know, Tampa at 26, maybe Arizona at 27. Green Bay
at 26.
Green Bay at 25. You know, Packers have a bunch of picks in the top 100. You know, they may say, it's our highest pick. I really don't want to keep going back. I got a bunch of 2s and 3s. But, you know, make me an offer I can't refuse. I got to admit, Dallas needs bodies, and they need cheap bodies. Maybe Dallas would be a candidate at 24. You know, Eagles at 22. So anyway, there's a lot of teams here where you could see where you could trade in. Miami needs picks. They have a 1 or 2, then they don't have anything to the 5th. Okay. Buffalo's 28. Obviously, they wouldn't go there. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. Detroit.
I'd love to know what they're thinking of Hendon Hooker in his development, you know, to give you an honest answer there.
He was barely healthy enough to practice last year, wasn't he? Right.
Right. But
you're running the Lions now. Your view of Michael Penix, you're running the Lions. All of a sudden, you're on the clock at 29, and you're turning around looking at one another going, Penix is still on the board, isn't he?
I'd take him.
Because you got a big, you know, right now, I mean, golf's fine. Golf's good. Taking a team to a Super Bowl. Took another team to an NFC Championship game. Can't badmouth Jared Goff. Okay? But also, Goff's contract's up here in a year or so. You got to, you know, if Jared Goff's your future between 45 and 50. Make no bones about it. It's between 45 and 50 million. So when Michael Penix is on the board, the question is, are we re-signing Goff in a year to 4 for 180? Or 5 for 2.25? Or are we going to take Penix and ride this Goff thing out and turn it over to him? When he's in his early 30s, we're going to put the 25-year-old lefty in there and say, sling it around, big fella. Trent?
I think at 29 years old, you can give Goff one more contract. He earned it last season. And as a fan, I'd use 29 for someone who can contribute right away.
But do you remember?
Not as a fan, as GM.
You're the GM of the Lions, and when the draft started, you thought Michael Penix was a top 12 quarterback in this league by the time he turned 25. Now he's on the clock. You're not going to take him.
I wouldn't, no.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Ravens at 30, obviously no. Niners at 31, no. And the Chiefs at 32, no. So anyway, the teams in the 20s, there are some interesting scenarios there. If Penix is the one, if he's the Will Levis of this draft, and he's sitting there, any of those teams turn around, because let's face it, the Packers did not think that they were taking Aaron Rodgers when they took him.
Right.
You know, The Packers didn't know if Jordan Love was going to get in their area code before moving up 3 spots to grab him. They were drafted in the late 20s. I think they moved up to 26 to get him. So I just wanted to just throw that out there. You know, you're all thinking about the draft and this, that, and the other thing. And if Penix is the one, so
I like where your head's at. I'd like the scenario more likely that someone would come up because there's so many of those teams that could use more draft capital. The Dolphins. I think the Bucks could still use bodies. The Cowboys could use bodies. I think in the 20s, you would see someone more. The likelihood to me would be someone would go up and get him more than one of the teams we talked about taking him.
I mean, if you're New England, are you counting on Penix falling into the 20s and you could do whatever that you want at 3? May take Marvin Harrison, auction off the pick. Goodness knows you got the worst roster in the league. I'm all for auctioning off the number 3 pick in this draft if I'm the Patriots.
You are more than anyone, aren't you, with the Patriots, of not taking a quarterback and just building the roster this year?
Well, also it depends on who that quarterback is. Like if it was Jaden Daniels available at 3, I'd take him. But if it's Drake May, no, not doing it. I really don't want to take a quarterback from the Patriots this year. My roster's terrible. Yeah. I'm going to literally waste 2 of his 4 cheap years, and I could break him during those years. I got no one to throw to and no one to pass protect for him. Besides that, this is a hell of a gig. I want Jacoby Brissett to get beat up this year. It's why I'm paying him $8 million.
I think their line's a touch better than that. The receivers and running backs, I'm with you. I do think they've got a couple of key pieces on the line. They re-signed one of them. But all in all, this is a bad roster. I do think they're a couple of the line guys they have are the right way to build the team.
Okay.
The point stands. You don't want to take a rookie quarterback and throw him on a terrible team.
I don't, because it's a bad roster. I'm wasting 2 of his cheap years. To be honest with you, I'm probably going to draft in the top 5 next year. And believe it or not, the quarterback class next year is actually pretty damn good. I mean, I saw Quinn Ewers ranked as like the 8th best quarterback prospect in next year's draft, which is funny because I think if he came out this year, he'd be 4th.
Yeah, Quinn Ewers or J.J. McCarthy? Who would you take?
Exactly.
Yours.
By the way, Dolphins just converted Bradley Chubb's salary into a signing bonus and created $11 million in cap room. See how that works?
So never worry about the cap. They'll figure it out. Miller and Moulton. Along the network, thanks so much for listening. In the 239, the Diamond District Bonus Hour, that comes up next.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, The bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
What'd you find?
I was just looking on X. Orlando Elzagari reposted a picture. It's got a guy by an exit seat. He's got the parachute on and he's got a helmet on. It says new gear for Boeing flights. Just found that funny. It's all right. I went down a rabbit hole of TikTok the other day, and it was if dogs had podcasts. I've never laughed so hard in my life.
Oh, yeah. That sounds entertaining. I don't have TikTok.
No?
No, because I would be on it too much. I mean, I do all the other stuff that is TikTok, like the Instagram Reels. I scroll on there.
Yeah, it's just no. They're the same
thing.
ones.
Right.
Oh, good for them. Jeff, how many teams do they have now? Don't they have a Division II and a Division III team? Or do they have a Division I, Division II, and Division III team? I know they have multiple teams.
You talking about Miami?
Apparently.
Okay. Logic Man, I gotta believe that Ryan Tannehill ends up either in Denver or
Chicago.
Chicago.
Nice.
What was that about?
My order from Super 70 Sports is on the way.
What'd you get?
T-shirt.
All right, here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the Diamond District bonus hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. The tournament gets underway tonight. Got a battle of 16s, Wagner and Howard. Howard, a 3.5-point favorite. Then you got a battle of, it's 10s, right?
Yes.
Colorado State and Virginia, a battle of 10s. Colorado State's a 2.5-point favorite. So True TV, baby. True TV is where it's at for Westwood One on the radio.
Time for that voiceover voice again. Our favorite guy, the Westwood One guy, who basically, if you don't listen, he will come and find you.
You're listening to the NCAA tournament on Westwood One. Keep listening or you will be audited.
I'm fired up. As the day's gone on, I didn't think I would, could get fired up for a 16 seed game, but I'm ready. I'll be all in at True TV come 7 o'clock tonight.
All right. I'll give you this. I'm excited about Wagner and Howard. All right. Having experienced Dayton and a couple of 16s going at it. How many years ago was that now? 8 years ago. And just, first off, the place is packed. It's a great atmosphere. They love their college hoops, even for the 6:30 game. They're totally in. I mean, both teams combined, Wagner and Howard, they'll have 371 fans there total. And yet the joint is packed. And they're all in. And they're rooting for both sides, too. They just want a good game. Great atmosphere, but also it's a tournament win, baby. It's national television. 3 to 5 million people are going to see you.
This is where Miller and Moulton have flopped.
Yes.
We at first did not like, we still don't like Dayton. In our world, there would still be 64 teams in the tournament.
Right.
That goes without saying. But given the fact that we can't make those changes, we initially didn't like the 16s going to Dayton. Figured give them a shot. Put all play-ins in Dayton if you're going to do it. But we've come around. It's a tournament win. Gives the team a little bit of something to go take on the one. A little bit of confidence.
And I think helps them in the first half of the 116 game that they're about to play in. Because these are the worst of the 16s.
And I would think the players aren't as nervous.
Right.
Because they've played a game. And like David just pointed out, Dayton sold out tonight.
Yeah.
These kids that play for 16 seeds don't play in front of sold-out crowds really ever.
How many times have Wagner and Howard played before this many people in which the people are actually rooting for them and not against them?
Never.
I mean, they're cheering both ways. And then at the end, you find out who's bet on whom. So I'm into the 640 game on True. But when that's over, believe it or not, the game I'm interested in tonight, the I-4 war, baby. Anytime South Florida and UCF play, I'm in. Because they're not in the same conference anymore. I hate you. I hate you more. But I want to play you. I don't want to play you anymore. It used to be South Florida was the one that started boycotting UCF. Now it's UCF going,
Yeah, they definitely won. I was wrong on this one. I thought before they joined the conference, South Florida was getting all their, the Alabamas on the schedule. I thought they were doing a smart thing. And in that time, obviously, UCF now a member of the Big 12. They've won.
Now, in 2 years, when South Florida's in the ACC, all right, I think we might be playing again in everything.
If there's an ACC. That's no, come on.
I understand. I think there will be an ACC. It just will not bear a whole lot of resemblance to the ACC that we knew, that we grew up with. There are a lot of people that The Big East basketball conference to them is not the Big East. I mean, without Syracuse, without Pitt, without Boston College, they just without Syracuse. There's a lot of people that look at the Big East and go, "Come on." And it doesn't help that Georgetown's not good. But
Yeah,
I mean,
they've got to fix that. I mean, this is a problem.
I mean, if you're a big time Big 12 fan, I mean, come on, Texas and Oklahoma are leaving. I mean, come on, the Big 12 without Texas and Oklahoma. I mean, come on, is it still the Big 12? Yeah, it is. I mean, but I mean, come on, this is going to hurt. This is going to hurt. I mean, to me, Mark, it was like, I was not an Earnhardt guy. Rusty Wallace was my guy. Okay. But every race, I always wanted to know where the 3-car was. Every race, all the time. Where's the 3-car? And how Rusty was doing was in comparison to where's Earnhardt. I mean, come on. If you're in the Big 12, how are Texas and Oklahoma doing? Where are they? Are we better than them? Are we as good as them? We going to beat them this year?
And you were a Phil guy. And what did you look at a golf tournament? Where's Tiger?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was real easy to know where he was.
Ahead of Phil.
Yeah, he was teeing off very late all the time.
Right.
I mean, I forget what tournament it was. The guys on the first tee reading off all of Tiger's accomplishments. Gets like 40 seconds in, and Phil goes, yeah. But so yeah, when they will be in the ACC, Mark, 2-3 years tops. Okay, it's not going to be the same ACC. North Carolina's not going to be there.
Big ACC matchup tonight. East Carolina taking on South Florida.
That's right. On the ACC network. Yes. Mm-hmm.
For those of you looking for NC State, they're on the Big 12 network playing Colorado.
Well, that's a whole different story. But so yeah, so I'm in actually. So give me the battle of 16s. Give me Wagner and Howard.
And then you're going NIT shopping tonight, huh?
And then I'm a little South Florida UCF at 9:00. I think you got to go ESPN Plus. I don't even think it gets a network.
It doesn't even get the U?
I don't think it. I think it's a plus. I don't think it's even a U. So
wow.
Plus, isn't Tuesday night supposed to be a hockey night? Isn't Tuesday night a hockey night for ESPN?
This is where, David, I've become Seth. I don't know.
Right.
When I turn on my computer, that's my television.
Right.
I just put on the game that it tells me, and I'll figure out the network later.
Now, I'm rooting for Colorado State tonight because to watch Virginia play basketball, I feel is a sentence that a judge hands out to someone who he's trying to teach a lesson to. You could do 30 days in lockup, or you could watch Virginia in the ACC tournament. I'd put my hands out and say, put the cuffs on.
Here's the hard thing for me, David, is that I'll probably watch some Colorado State, Virginia. My wife is a Colorado State alum. I've been paying attention to them. I told her in November, I'm like, they're pretty good in basketball this year. You might want to pay a little attention. So I have been paying just a tiny bit of attention to them. But I watched the A-10 final. And after watching the A-10 final, to have to watch Virginia just 2 days later.
You still haven't gotten over the A-10 final.
That is the worst basketball I've ever seen.
So Duquesne won. This is not a mistake. This is not an exaggeration. This is a fact. Duquesne beat VCU. And in the second half, missed 15 out of 16 shots during one stretch. And never lost the lead. For the record. 15 out of 16 empty possessions. Didn't lose the lead. There you go. And the lead when it started was only 12. To give you an idea. That's the rock fight. Nationally televised, middle of the afternoon on CBS. Kevin Harlan on the call.
As you said before, if you could get truth serum, I don't know if he's ever called a worse game.
No. He was the voice of the T-Wolves for a decade. He's done so much basketball. I don't know if he's called a worse game. He had the T-Wolves when they were an expansion team too. I mean, this is pre-Garnett. They were not good.
Yeah, that's the question you ask him. First year T-Wolves,
right?
A10 final. Well, we'd never get him on again. But if we interviewed him, Kevin, we're going to ask you a question that we can guarantee you've never been asked before.
I'll make you a deal. I run into him a handful of times a year because he's broadcasting. He does Monday Night Football, Westwood One. Right. So I run into him, and I usually talk to him about once a month. He recognizes me as the FGCU guy. All right. So I'll go over. We'll talk for a bit. And so I will not give the answer on the air, but I will get the answer to that question and give it to the two of you off air. How about that?
Perfect. Okay. And hopefully he laughs hard enough that maybe he would actually come on the show.
Right.
I mean, that would be fantastic.
In fact, that might be so here's the deal, Kevin. We want you on the show. It's early in the morning. Just so you know, our first question is going to be early T-Wolves or the Duquesne VCU A10 final, which was worse?
That's why it is very easy. I think Duquesne plays BYU. It is very easy to pick BYU in that game. Well, I watched Duquesne play.
Well, and I've watched BYU play. Listen, I think that's got to be one of the best bets of the first round. Isn't BYU? It only like 6.5, 7.5, something like that? I think BYU whacks them. Absolutely whacks them. I think that was a case, by the way, that the tournament selection committee had kind of put A10 champion on the board, and then it ended up being Duquesne.
Because they don't deserve to be an 11.
They were a 6 seed in the A10 tournament.
But I mean, come on, if you played Duquesne against Grand Canyon, who's a 12 seed, right? Grand Canyon would be favored by 5-6 points.
McNeese State would be favored against them. I think College of Charleston would be favored against them. Absolutely. Whereas BYU, as Trent pointed out, what's BYU's net?
13.
13. That would be the best 4 seed on the board. And they're a 6. I honestly, I have not looked, I've not examined the brackets closely at all. I have to do it after the show. I got to do something this afternoon. I need to examine the brackets for it. But honestly, best bet, BYU lay the points against Duquesne. If they don't cover that, I wouldn't bet another game in the tournament. I really wouldn't. I'd be like, well, forget it. I don't know what's happening.
I think they're going to the Sweet 16. They're going to beat Illinois in the second round.
That'd be a fun game.
Miller and Moulton. The brackets are coming. True TV tonight. The play-in games begin. Thanks for listening, Miller and Moulton. Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts. One of our experienced sales reps have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, have they approached you two about Thursday and Friday?
No.
Yeah, they talked to me about it. They're doing their show from 10 to noon.
Yeah. Okay.
So it doesn't affect anything other than.
I just come to you saying, "Hey, get out of there."
Yeah, so we can record our promos either during a break.
Yeah,
or...
do it during the last break. Be the best way to do it.
Perfect.
David, have you seen the Anthony Edwards dunk yet?
No, I have not.
You need. I'm not kidding. It's a top 5 dunk of all time.
Is this Sean Kemp posterizing type deal?
His head's at the rim. He gave the guy a concussion from the ball hitting him in the head. He had to leave the game and didn't come back.
Well, he blocked a shot last week and hit his head on the backboard. Edwards did.
It's one of the best dunks I've ever seen. I'm not. I know it's in the moment. That is. I've watched it. I've watched it 6 times this morning. I don't care that much about a dunk.
Okay, somebody just sent it to me. Wow. He threw that down from the arc of the circle.
Yeah.
He was not close to the rim there.
Watch the ball hit Collins in the head and he goes down. There's some spectacular memes going on this thing already. You know, Dan Dockich in his fight with the Indianapolis Star and their columnists is just a great follow on Twitter. He just annihilates them on a daily basis.
Yes.
What are your guys' thoughts on Dockich?
I like Dockich
in general.
I take him for what he is.
Yeah,
he's red meat to the Lions. You know, some stuff I think he's way off base. Some stuff I go, I'm with you. See, we don't allow for people that we don't agree with at least 90% of the time anymore. That's where we've changed as a society and made ourselves a lot worse. We used to be okay. We used to actually like being around other people who had differing opinions. It's what attracted Mark and I to each other. We would, I'd be covering the hockey games. He'd be broadcasting them, and we'd end up at the bar afterwards talking. We disagreed. I mean, we agree far more now in our 50s than we did in our 30s.
Absolutely.
And we disagree a decent amount now, but I mean, we disagreed 70% of the time when we first met each other on all things, and yet enjoyed each other's company. Or at least that's what Mark told me. I don't know if it's true or not. Mark may have thought, I got to put up with this sumbitch. Golly.
No, I used to laugh because it's when David would come shoot the games and then not have to go back or.
Yeah, I'd hand and then hand the tape to somebody if they were doing the late show or on Saturdays, I would come as a fan and stay.
Yeah, that's what it more was. And Saturdays, you'd come to games. Is that pitch prime? Was that the soccer thing, Logic Man? For the second level team or whatever they were talking about?
I just don't know. Don't you find it boring always talking to people in which you agree on 90% of everything? I mean, isn't that
Yes.
having a conversation with yourself?
Well, I get it all the time because I don't agree with all the people that I play golf with. They just think that I do.
Okay, here we go.
Welcome to the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and
Funny.
Todd at the Diamond District. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap today was the day when. Some final thoughts. Got to make some picks. Hell, we got some college hoops tonight. The tournament, the NIT even, South Florida, UCF. By the way, I think there's a college baseball game if you guys are interested. Isn't it South Florida and FGCU tonight? At FGCU, little college baseball.
Take the over.
Don't know if we can find an over underline on South Florida and FGCU, but yes,
I'm efforting.
That's our next system, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. We don't know if it's going to catch on. You know, we had our college basketball system, which did well.
Cannot bet the over under on USF and FGCU. I can bet the game, however. FGCU a slight favorite.
So our over under on college baseball involves Tuesday, Wednesday, the midweek games. Nobody sends their top pitchers out. It's the number 4 or 5 starters. It's bullpen days, what have you. But everybody plays their top lineups. So you got your best hitters facing your worst pitching. And so the midweek games, I mean, they're 13-9.
By the way, that South Florida UCF game, 5.5 is the number. South Florida's getting 5.5.
I know they are on the road. Yeah. UCF beat Kansas. I mean, UCF's got some good wins this year.
No, they do.
Right.
I thought the line would be a little tighter than that.
I did too. It's at UCF.
3.
It's at UCF, so that's worth, a couple 2-3 there. So it sounds like
I would imagine they'll show up for that.
Yeah.
For an NIT game, I would think this atmosphere will be decent. If they were playing anybody else, there would be no one there.
Sounds like you're leaning South Florida in the points.
I am.
Okay. All right. Good to know. Hey, shooting the bull with a buddy of mine who said, listen, I'm not in favor of them expanding the tournament, but I mean, they're talking about it and the powerful are talking about it. So let's assume it's going to happen. First off, let's just if we just expand it 4 more, which everybody associated with this show is completely against. Please, everybody listening, realize we're completely against this. But it seems as if certain people who are far more powerful than everybody else want it. ... Who do you put in the play-in games? And crazy idea, do you do it the reverse of what we've always thought? The thought being you put in the big market schools against each other and make them fight all these bubble teams. What were the 4 schools that the committee said were the first 4 out? Oklahoma.
St. John's.
Well, no, St. John's actually was out.
I'm sorry. Seton Hall, Providence, St. John's, and Pitt, I believe, were the first 4.
Oklahoma. Indiana
actually, I don't think it was Providence. I think it was Oklahoma, Seton Hall, Pitt, and Indiana State.
There you go.
And so, our thought has always been, okay, so if those 4 would be added, 72-team tournament, those 4 would have been in this year. And our thought's always been, well, in that case, then those teams are going to Dayton. Do you think there would be any interest if we did it in reverse? And by that, I mean we made Dayton the place where the 15s or the 16s go.
I don't think anybody would watch. I mean, not anybody. I think part of the lure of these games that they usually have, like tonight, there's a Virginia playing. And as boring as Virginia is, that's a named program in college basketball.
Yeah. Won the national title, 5 years ago?
Haven't won a
2019.
tournament game since, for the record.
But David, staying here for a second, I think the teams that win their conference tournament should be in the field. They should not have to play in. That's what I think.
I agree. I was just wondering, because the game tomorrow night that is the Battle of Tens is Colorado-Boise State. So in theory, in our world, Wagner and Howard would not be in Dayton. We would say, no, you're in the full field. These other schools have to play their way in. So our Dayton would be Colorado State, Virginia, Colorado, Boise State, and then those 4 schools that we mentioned who were just left out, some combination of Oklahoma against Pitt and Indiana State against Seton Hall.
Right, if we were just at 68. If we go to 7...
Well, no, if we go to 72, that's what it would be. We'd put all the 16s in, and we'd make these schools... that in theory, do you take the 16s out of the play-in? Or do you make the play-in nothing but 16s and 15s?
All right, just bear with me here. We've got 2 16 games tonight and tomorrow, and 2 10 games tonight and tomorrow.
Correct.
If we're adding 4 more play-in games...
Oh, you're right. I only added 2.
And you took 2 away.
Correct. So I'd have to then go...
all the 16s would be play-in games, and all of the... Then there would be, basically whether it's the 10 line or the 11 line would all be play-ins. Because you're doubling the number of play-in games.
Correct. So the question then becomes, are you doing a play-ins with 15s and 16s, or do you do play-ins with 10s and 11s?
And I would do the 10s and 11s, but I think you'll end up with both. You'll end up with all the 16s being play-ins, and you'll have 4 games for the 11 line or the 10 line, however it shakes out. That the last 8 teams in would be, instead of now just the last 4 do it, the last 8 would get it, and the bottom 8 would get it.
Because remember, the 4 teams added, and we're looking forward, what conferences these schools are in. Oklahoma is going to be SEC. So you got SEC, ACC, Big East, Missouri Valley.
The other thing they have to do if they're going to expand this is find another Dayton. Because it works in Dayton.
It does.
And I don't think shuffling this around the country is the right idea of just, putting it up for bid. You need a site. So Dayton's going to host 4 games. Who's going to host the other 4 games?
Well, and I would think that you would need to do it. Part of the reason for Dayton, I believe everybody doesn't go west of the central time zone from Dayton either. That it's a fairly doable flight, even though they're flown privately, but that it's an hour and a half flight, no more.
Unless they put it all at Dayton, we start playing games at Tuesday at noon. There's 4 games Tuesday, 4 games Wednesday.
You think they could find a place like Omaha? If they're going to find a second location, really good college sports city, obviously.
But David, if you're doing 2 sites, you're having multiple games at the same time. I don't know how that is attracting that many more eyeballs. We're watching because it's the only thing on.
I agree. I completely agree. Do they start ending the college basketball season on Saturday? And Sunday's a travel day, and the tournament started yesterday. We've talked about this with college football for years, Trent, in which we said one of the big problems about expanding the playoff was the schedule. Avoiding the NFL as much as possible. I think you got Christmas, you got finals. You guys are still saying they go to school. Okay, I mean, how deep into January are you going to go?
I really think you keep it Tuesday, Wednesday. You keep it at Dayton, and you play all day. You have a morning session or, an afternoon session and an evening session.
Okay.
Because if you just add Monday, that's 2 games, David. Where am I putting the other 2 games? You're not starting on Sunday. That's Selection Sunday. That TV show already does really well. So what are we trying to do? We're trying to enhance the Tuesday and Wednesday TV show. I just give them all day.
So once again, it's some of the logistics in which they talk about expanding the tournament. Okay, it's a little harder than you guys think it is. Which 4? How many in the play-in? You need another location? Miller and Moulton.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
20 years ago, Jason and I had the idea for a jewelry store like no other. The vast selection of certified diamonds priced 8 to 12% over cost. A team of individuals who are educated, driven, and believe in cultivating relationships.
Today, we have become one of the largest independent jewelry stores in the country. Todd and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day, along with our GIA gemologists, master jewelers, custom designers, and non-commissioned diamond consultants, all of which we consider family.
As direct diamond importers, we travel the world, forging relationships and sourcing diamonds. What we love most about our business is that we can call Southwest Florida our home.
If selection, value, and comfort are important to you, give the Diamond District an opportunity. You won't find a better diamond buying experience. Todd and I look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Ooh, more importantly, got to get that done. After winning my kids' fantasy football league, I am now in the playoffs of my kids' fantasy hockey league, and he is not.
Even though he was like second in points?
Yeah. He's like, if you win this, I'm like, if I win this, what? You're going to be mad?
Really?
Who else are you rooting for?
Yeah, really. Isn't it supposed to be, if not me, you?
Two girls in the league, they both made the playoffs. That's the funny part.
Here we go.
Welcome to the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour, 16 until we're out of here. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. And our poll question at that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton, is so you could have UConn, Purdue, and Houston, or you could have the field. Who you taking? And for most of today, the field has been running away with this. I'm shocked.
71% of the vote taking the field, David.
Wow. That's 5 out of every 7 people taking the field, not taking the ones.
Yeah, I'd like to see all their brackets when they're filled out. That's all. I mean, you're all taking the field, and you're all going to have UConn at the end of your bracket. Who did you take? You take the field, David?
I did take the field.
And when you fill out a bracket, do you really think you're not going to have UConn, Purdue, or Houston at the end of it?
I could see me not having Purdue and Houston at the end, but it's really difficult. I am counting on Auburn in the Sweet 16, Iowa State in the Elite 8. I mean, never mind who UConn could face in the Final Four. Like, I think their road this year on paper looks as if it could be a lot more challenging than last year. Think about just the 2 wins last year to win the national title. I mean, they had to beat Miami and San Diego State. I mean, we don't think that's going to be the road in the Final Four this year for UConn, if you know what I mean, if they get there. Never mind the road to get there. So I just think, it's kind of like the Iowa women, man. If you believe in conspiracies or whatever, let me tell you, CBS would love for UConn to be in the Final Four. That's a tough draw for a 1. North Carolina's draw, the toughest draw of the ones.
And it should be.
But you would think, I mean, these are the 2 blue bloods, right? Purdue and Houston are not blue bloods.
No.
Carolina and UConn qualify. Sorry. They've cut down the nets too many times.
From in such a long period of time now. I mean, this century, if we don't call them a blue blood, I don't know who we're calling a blue blood.
Right. I'm pretty sure they got the most titles this century. So certainly in the last 25 years. So if you believe in, they want then they would have made UConn and North Carolina's draws Purdue and Houston's draw, to be brutally honest. And the Iowa women clearly got the toughest draw of the 4 ones on the women's side.
And that one's even tougher because typically the 1s, 2s, and 3s don't lose. You don't get upset in the women's tournament the way that you do in the men's side. Boy, it's going to be really weird if they have a Final Four without Caitlin Clark, and she's going to be in every commercial during the women's Final Four.
It'll be like that Olympics 30 years ago when Reebok had the whole marketing campaign. There's only one problem. The 2 guys that were going to be in it didn't qualify.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
I'm telling you, we need some sports to start happening because this segment is failing me. There's nothing.
Okay.
I mean, absolutely. I got 5 things, and none of them are that interesting. There's only one that's even that interesting to me. 1950, we start out. A little basketball for you. CCNY beats Bradley for the NIT. The NIT was a big deal in 1950.
Well, and shortly thereafter, I think the whole CCNY betting scandal happened.
Exactly. Today in 72, David, was the first AIAW women's basketball tournament.
In 72.
72.
Right.
I mean, think about that.
Well, they basically, I think, played the 70s as AIAW. I don't think the NCAA embraced it till, 79, 80, something like that?
Sounds about right. Today in 1991, the NFL owners stripped Phoenix of the 1993 Super Bowl for not recognizing MLK Day as a federal holiday. Think about that. They took a Super Bowl away from Phoenix.
Yes, they did. State of Arizona didn't recognize the national holiday, which was passed over Reagan's veto.
Today in 91, also, Brett Hall became the third to score 80 goals in a season. But maybe the most significant bit of data I have on this day in history came in 2012, David, when Wendy's overtook Burger King as the second best-selling burger chain in America.
And they have now been overtaken by Chick-fil-A. I believe Chick-fil-A is now number 2.
Yeah, but not burgers.
Oh, true.
Not burgers.
That's true. But just fast food.
Wyatt Earp and Richie Ashburn both born today. Glenn Close is 77. Bruce Willis is 69. And that's all I have, David.
It's funny. I have a lot today.
Give it to me.
Okay. Well, first off, today in 1931, Nevada legalized gambling.
Way to go, Nevada.
It's just quite the trendsetter there. The very first Academy Awards were telecast on NBC today in 53. Elvis purchased Graceland today in 57. At least he put the down payment on it. Okay. So it was a good buy. You got a lot of land with that sucker.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. What else we got here? 66. That whole Texas Western Kentucky, the all-white team against the all-black team.
Yeah.
Yeah, Texas Western won. Huh. Kind of a big deal.
A really big deal.
Yeah, today in 66. Think about that. The tournament's getting underway today. It wrapped up today in 66. And I think I got one other here. Oh, yeah. The war in Iraq began today in 03. So,
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
Well, a dog went dog, and thank goodness that there was assistance there, because in Huntsville, a dog started chasing a raccoon, chased the raccoon into a cave, got stuck. But thanks to the Huntsville Cave Rescue Unit, a volunteer cave rescue team, along with the fire department, able to rescue the dog from the cave. So a good job by everyone involved there, except for the dog. Don't go chasing things.
Well, what do you expect the dog to do?
The dog went dog. My neighbor's dog, my next door neighbor, is a great dog. The dog learned how to open the door. My daughter and I came home, picked her up from school the other day, and the dog has the same name as my daughter. Dog's Madeline. Madeline the dog, Madeline the girl. So Madeline, my daughter gets out of the car. She goes, "There's Madeline." I'm like, "I don't see the owner. Madeline's just wandering around." So we get Madeline back in the house. Turns out the owner next door tells me, watch the dog uses its hind legs and uses his hip and just plops the door down and then hips the door open. Snuck out of the house. They don't lock their door during the day. Now they got to lock their door during the day so the dog doesn't escape. For the bad, we go to Bonita Springs, where Lee County Sheriff's Office is looking for a man accused of stealing from the Bonita Springs Fire Control and Rescue District. The fire department office on Old 41 is open. You see it all the time. You drive down Old 41, you see the doors open, welcoming. They have an open door policy, meaning they leave the bay doors wide open throughout the day. And some jackass came in and stole boots, firefighter boots, which they have to pay for themselves. Cost $1,400, and someone ripped off the boots. Chief DeWitt's pissed, and I don't blame him.
You'd like to think they'd have video, right?
They have video.
Okay.
But they don't have the person who came in and stole the boots.
They will.
Finally, the ugly. We go to the Detroit area of Michigan, where a Wayne County man was arrested after crashing a stolen tree trimming truck in wood chipper. Michigan State Police received a call at 4:30 p.m. of a large tree trimming truck pulling a wood chipper being driven recklessly through a township. Turns out the driver was on meth and just decided to go joyriding in a tree trimming truck. Say that 10 times. He eventually crashed the truck, fled on foot, where he was found in a Rubbermaid container.
He was in the Rubbermaid container?
Correct. He fled on foot and jumped into a Rubbermaid container.
Thought that'd be a good place to hide, huh?
Wood chipper might have been a good place for him to hide.
I was going to say, as long as you take the keys with you, nobody can turn it on.
That is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, March the 19th, 2024. Tree trimming truck.
Right. We've gone over it now. The tournament gets underway tonight. Wagner and Howard at 6:30 is when the broadcast, 6:40 is when the game will tip. Howard, a 3.5-point favorite. Colorado State, Virginia, estimated time 10 after 9. Colorado State, a 2.5-point favorite. Both games are on True TV.
Howard, a 3.5-point favorite. Colorado State, a 2.5-point favorite.
South Florida getting 5.5 in the NIT at UCF. ESPN Plus, 9 o'clock, if you're interested. 5 games in the NBA tonight, Mark. Orlando, and they're playing really well. They're beating up on some lesser teams. They have a chance to do it again tonight at home against Charlotte. They're a 12.5-point favorite. If you're interested in betting the Magic. By the way, 9 o'clock tonight, NBA TV. It's actually the best game of the night. Denver and Minnesota, who are both tied a half a game behind Oklahoma City. T-Wolves match up really well with Denver. Why? They've got size. But Karl Anthony Towns is out right now. Is that going to affect him? Towns could pull Jokic away from the basket. So anyway, Denver at Minnesota tonight. As those two in Oklahoma City battle for who's going to be the 1, who's going to be the 2, and who is going to be the 3. NHL tonight. Listen, it's a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday league, all right? So we got a whole bunch of games tonight. At 13, I think. Might have miscounted. But Tampa Bay's in Vegas. Lightning on a bit of a roll here.
Every game important for the Lightning as they're trying to secure that last wild card spot, or the first wild card spot, I should say.
Big game for your guys' Wings tonight at home against Columbus, for goodness sakes.
It's a must win for them. And I'm not joking when I say that. They're playing so poorly right now. They have got to figure out a way to win. Devils with a big game. They host the Penguins. Flyers hosting Toronto. Big game for Philadelphia because they're reeling as the Caps are within a point, I believe, of Philadelphia for third in that division.
And top of the standings, anyway, 2 division leaders. Best game of the night on papers. Winnipeg at the Rangers. Rangers, bunch of injuries, yet have won 5 of 6. So there you go. That's the sports night.
We betting tonight? We betting the first 4?
Sure. I think we should bet every game of the tournament.
Well, I've already bet BYU. That I made a bet for us. That's done.
Best bet of the first round. BYU, what's it, 6.5 against Duquesne?
It's 9.5.
Oh, it wasn't when it started. Damn.
But Wagner's plus 3.5. Howard obviously Howard minus 3.5. I don't know who we like there. Can you take?
You always take the points in the battle of the 16s.
All right, we'll take Wagner. It's done.
And we're laying the points with Colorado State tonight. Come on, it's Virginia. Come on.
I love that. Love it. I think Colorado State's going to win big, actually. You can go to
They can shoot it.
Yeah. They're the worst matchup for a team like Virginia. That's just slower than molasses. And you get up 6, and it feels like you're up 15.
I will say this. The Mountain West last year, San Diego State bailed them out by going to the title game. But I think everybody else in the Mountain West last year, and I think they had 5 teams in, all lost in the first round.
That is correct. It was
so,
Easter
after the first round last year, the Mountain West was 1-4. Now, San Diego State wins 5 games. Their final record is 5-5. But so the rest of the Mountain West needs to deliver this year. And the Mountain West did not get seeded well either.
No, they figured out how to schedule. They got themselves in the tournament, but they did not get seeded nearly as highly as many thought they would.
So first opportunity for the Mountain West tonight. Come on, Colorado State.
Let's
Need
go
to
Rams.
deliver. Go Rams.
I'll put my Colorado State visor on and everything.
You have a Colorado State visor?
Yeah, I do.
Spurrier visor?
I wear a visor when I golf. Hats are too hot for me. I try to keep the sun out of my face. So I'm a DL3 guy on the course. I don't win a lot.
Come on now. He won like 20 times. You just don't win a lot of majors. That's all. You 3-putt the final green of U.S. Open. That's what you do. Hey, enjoy your Tuesday. We'll do it again tomorrow.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place